time.
Everybody.
Did you realize that this is a Christmas movie? That this came out on Christmas
I did. I
in
saw that.
1999?
Yes, I have it written down. 1998.
Oh, 1998.
98.
So
December
it
25th,
this
1998.
is a Christmas movie.
Christmas
We're doing a
movie.
Christmas movie.
I
I
didn't
don't
think
know.
about it, but yes, you're
I
right.
I didn't know. I didn't know why this is. I don't know why it's a Christmas movie. I don't know what it has to do with Christmas. I don't know why they thought people would go see this on Christmas. But it apparently is a Christmas movie.
I think it's funny.
Hello, everybody. This is Shelf Life. You are listening to a new experience. If you're listening to us from the future or from a future episode and came back to listen, welcome. This is groundbreaking. You are in on the ground floor. If you started with us, we thank you. You're the greatest. And if you are finding the old episodes from the future, welcome to the past. We are recording this during the 2020 pandemic. That 2023 pandemic, though, holy shit,
Oh man.
that was brutal. But this one's not as bad. We thought we had it bad now, but you know. The
It's much
2022
worse.
Robot Wars was a lot of fun too. I'm Kevin, by the way.
And I'm Rachel.
So let us explain, since this is the first episode of Shelf Life, what exactly are we doing here? And let me posit it to you. And Rachel, I'm gonna explain it. If I don't explain it well, you just repeat what I say, but in a better form.
Okay.
What this is a podcast, which is an internet radio show, essentially. That is the definition of a podcast, on demand
Yes,
most
yes,
of the
yes.
time.
You could just
Uh,
download this right straight to your device, as you probably already are
your
doing.
Zune. I hear Zunes come back in the future, and it will consist of we're brother and sister
Siblings,
that
if you would.
siblings, if you will, that believe in the power of collecting things. We believe that it's important to collect things, whether that be movies, TV shows, books, comics, sports entertainment, action figures, toys, I don't stamps, coins, anything.
The
We
obscure.
believe that it's important to collect the legacy, to collect the culture, and to have it for all time. And as a result of that, we will be going through, on however periodic we determine we're going to do this on a basis, we are going to be going through all of those things as we deem fit and determine whether those things have a shelf life, which we're defining as being rewatchable, being being deemed good enough or bad enough, being entertaining enough to have a spot on your shelf, whether that be your physical shelf or your digital shelf. But I'm sure as we go through this podcast, you will find that we are proponents of the physical media, as are all dorks that would be having a podcast of this nature. But that is our goal, and we are going to do it however the hell we want because it is our podcast, and we would probably be doing this regardless if we were recording this and shouting into the void. How does that sound to you, Rachel?
No,
How does that sound?
I think that sounds great. It's like, since we are going to be just doing this on our own anyways, now at least everybody else gets to enjoy us doing it as well.
And find out what really matters.
Right, because we know best.
We know best. We are the purveyors of culture and the keepers and peacemakers. That's right. How's that? How do you feel about that? How's that sound to you? And as we go through, I assume, and listeners from the future, at this point, you have probably gotten sick of our references and voices and ridiculousness, but I'm sure that will all come through as we go on our journey. I do want to give a shout out real quick as well to the fact that you and I, Rachel, are big fans of certain podcasts.
Yes.
They are our inspiration for doing this,
Yes.
and we are probably going to steal terminology from them, at least at the very start,
Probably.
because I mean that's just
We
we've put it in our own vernacular.
yes, it is now something that we just do automatically, and but it's because we love you, so it's we
Yeah,
can
that's right.
use your voice just to really emphasize what we want to say.
That's right. That's right. We're not making we're not stealing, we're homaging.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
But I think it's important because I mean there are a lot of influences, and you'll see that as we go through. And I'm sure that we'll get a more and more unique voice as we go. But
Well, yeah, because we're just
we're
starting out, so
following that standard.
we don't really have that fully constructed yet. But that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
And it
And
starts.
something to ask you, and the first this pilot we have a pilot episode, so check out the pilot. But this is the first episode. This is the first thing that we are determining whether or not it garners a place on our shelf and your shelf, and it is 1998's The Faculty, a movie directed by Robert Rodriguez. Rachel, why two questions. The first being why are we starting a podcast of all things with The Faculty?
well, well, I guess in my personal opinion,
For you personally.
for me personally, I would have to say that it's because of the movie that it is, and kind of how we stumbled upon it, and then it's a cult classic. I would say it's a cult classic movie.
A classic picture.
That it kind of embodies the things that we enjoy.
It you know what? I like that you say that because it really does. It is a conglomerate of stuff that we think is fun. I think that's probably the best way to say it is that it's just kind of fun.
Right. Yeah.
Um, it is it I'm gonna dub this high school horror. It's a high school horror movie.
Pretty much.
And for those of you that are too old or too young to remember this, and not to give away our ages, we're millennial 30-ish people.
Way to just go right for
Our
the
that's
tag.
our average age is 30. Um, but to put it in perspective, and the reason I think that I say we're starting out with this as well is, you and I are fans of professional wrestling
Yes.
as well. You're gonna stay tuned for that on the
Yes.
program.
Please stay tuned. Stay
Um,
tuned.
there will be talk of professional wrestling. You can skip those episodes if you want. I would suggest not because that is where the real truth comes out. Because and a thesis we have, everything in the world is professional wrestling. It can all be tied back to being a fake carny and trying to make money off of rubes. That's true. That's true. But in professional wrestling, when you are putting together a card, when you're booking a show, you start off you start off with something that's going to get the crowd excited. That might be a little unexpected. That might be a little fast paced. Might be a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
Might be kind of fun. Not a lot of high stakes. Maybe some stakes. Something to get the crowd hyped up.
Right.
You and I have been to enough wrestling shows. We've seen this.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Just to get you going, get your heart rate beating a little bit more. Yeah.
yeah, you got you're ready for the show. You're ready to jump right in. It's a great way to start. And this movie, I think, embodies that. It's not important. It's not particular. It's not great, but it's a
Well.
hell of a lot of fun. Well, we will get to whether or not it's great, but it is. I think it's fun,
Right.
and we can save the things that we really want to talk about for the main event of the season. Later down the line,
Right.
of
Yes.
course.
Yeah. The bigger ones you'll see later, but we got to start off with easy pickings, I guess. Is Not something that
You,
people would go
it's a
crazy
ripe
over.
apple on the tree is
Yeah.
the faculty. It's a weird looking apple, but you're like, I mean, it's red, so I'll try it. What if you had to describe it, Rachel, is the faculty? What is this movie about?
So I saw this movie as a horror satire of body snatching. And like you said, it is a teenaged or high school horror movie. But I want to add in the word satire to that and maybe comedy.
I'd like to
There's a
add
lot
that
of
in,
words I can put in, but you know.
like a satirical or a parody. And I,
I wouldn't
when
go
I
so
say
far as saying parody. I think it's
no,
more
it's not a
so a
parody.
sci-fi
It's
satire. It
self-aware.
is
It's meta.
self-aware.
I think it when I say high school horror, I think it started with Scream, and we'll talk about it a
Oh
little
yes,
bit of
we
the
can
fact
start
that
with that. We can understand how that ties in.
after Scream became popular and it came out in like 96 or something like that. I think uh there was just a glutton of these kind of movies where it's like urban legends and this and Mimic and Halloween H2O and I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's all of this junk that is high school horror. It's these high school kids that are all way too witty and quick to make like a pun and smart, and they're all being chased and whatever.
Right.
So there's just a ton of these movies. This one is interesting, and we'll get into the history a little bit because it is directed by Robert Rodriguez, who, and Rachel, I know that you don't know directors nearly as much as like I might know directors, but this is the same type of guy that does. He's a grindhouse guy. He's a Quentin Tarantino friend. He likes B movies. I think that's pretty obvious when watching this.
Yes.
Um, and he did Spy Kids, another seminal classic, of course.
Oh boy.
So just a lot of that type of stuff.
So like throwing
So
this writing in his hands kind of gives it a genre in and of itself then.
I think it's what elevates it from the other ripoffs is
Yes.
because and we can talk about the people that are in the credits, but him and Kurt Greg Nicotero doing the effects, like the people that are involved in the production clearly love as you call it, like the body snatch. I mean, this is it's a rip off of Body Snatchers. It's a rip off of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which you and I have
And
also seen very
and partially
recently,
of the thing as well.
and the thing as well, definitely.
Yes.
We'll get into that, but it is it is really just a retelling of that
But
story.
I would say it's more on the sci-fi side than horror.
No, there's nothing scary about this
No.
movie. I mean,
It's a little
I don't think
creepy.
even.
You could say it's a little
I
creepy at
guess there's
points.
parts that are creepy. Robert Patrick is pretty
Yeah, he did a
creepy.
good job of that.
but um but there's nothing scary about it. I will go into my history with this, with my me personally history with this, which is I don't remember the first time I saw it. I know I saw it when I was a freshman in high school at the very latest, because at the cafeteria table we would very, very much make fun of and quote a certain line from the movie. And we'll talk about it when we get to it because it's one of my favorite lines in cinema history. And it's not even, and we've morphed it,
It
myself and my
has
friend
changed.
have morphed it into something that it doesn't even sound like in the movie, but it's still very important to me personally. But I think it just kind of has stuck with me. It's why I think we might end up having to redo the episode with a guest. Let me put it this way, because I think I did not talk about it in the intro, is that I do think that we will end up having guests on the show eventually. But you get stuck with the sibling rivalry that is us for now. Now, Rachel, do you remember when you first saw this one?
I couldn't tell you.
How it came
I
about?
couldn't tell you the year. It was at least a few years ago for me. Because you're the one who introduced me. Because we
Hmm.
decided to do something that we used to do classically as kids, where we would be on the computer, uh, and watch like a movie or play games and listen to some like music and things like that. And I remember that is something that we were doing at the time, is playing Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, that yes, that's right. Okay. Now, for those that do not know, and we'll have an episode on Roller Coaster Tycoon eventually, I'm sure. But what exactly is Roller Coaster Tycoon?
A Roller Coaster Tycoon is a roller coaster, a theme park simulator
That's right.
for the PC.
Hmm.
So you can
Yes.
create a theme park pretty much.
It is it's I mean it's a safe haven for us. When we are going to talk about fake rocks and fake smells, the ET ride, Botanicus, everything that makes another of our favorite podcasts what it is. We'll have episodes on that too. Don't you worry. Don't you
Absolutely.
worry about that.
Stay tuned.
Uh, Stay tuned. But we will have definitely an episode of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Anyway, I
But
do kind of remember that.
yeah,
And making you sit there and watch it.
yep. Because we were in our
Uh,
parents' study area, and that's where we were playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, and you had the movie on. That's what we were doing.
that's right. That's right.
I don't even remember what time of year it was. I just know that that's what we were doing.
It it was probably around Halloween, like maybe it was a Halloween movie.
It could
I
be.
I remember, was it the same time that we watched Class of
Yes,
99
yes, it
too?
was. So it was kind of like we themed
Stay
it.
tuned, by the way.
We themed it around the kind of the school type of thing
The
going on.
the ironic part of that, or the twist of that, is that the cover of Pink Floyd's The Wall in this, which I don't actually mind, I actually think it's a decent cover, is by a supergroup that calls themselves the Class of 99.
Oh, that is funny.
Uh, that it is. It's very funny. Yeah, it's that's pretty interesting. 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 That's interesting right there. So,
That molded into
um,
two different people just then.
I I was trying to do one and it morphed into Steve Austin.
Yes, yes, it did.
But if we can, let's get into a little bit of the history of this. So anyway, when I was researching, quote unquote, the history of the faculty, what I found was it was written by two guys in 1990. They could not get it off the ground at
Wow.
all.
Okay.
And in 1996, Scream comes out. Scream's a giant hit. It's a big success. Suddenly, it's picked up by the same producers of Scream in Miramax. And well, Miramax is they're scumbags. We know they're scumbags. They're horrible people. We'll separate the art from the artist. But when we come across a scumbag on this show, we're gonna call them out as being scumbags and move on.
It's true.
So yes,
But we can
total.
also enjoy the stuff that, even if there was a scumbag involved, we can still enjoy it.
You have to be able to separate the art from the artist sometimes because not ever. I don't know anybody personally involved in the production. I do know that the producers are scumbags, and hopefully we're not giving them any money by discussing or enjoying the faculty. However, Miramax at the time just they were the ones that were the purveyors of this high school horror stuff. Scream, they did H2O, they did this, a lot of that kind of stuff. They bring in the writer of Scream, Kevin Williamson, to do a rewrite on the script to basically punch it up and to make it into this style that is this Scream-esque style. And then they cast it. They cast it with a bunch of kind of newer like the new hip kind of this is going to be our new Rat Pack. That didn't you get that idea like
Yes.
this was going to be the new
Well,
Brat
the
Pack?
the funny thing is you look at it and you go, "Oh, I there's a lot of faces that you know in this movie too." There's a
Well,
lot
the
of
adults and the
faces.
kids.
Yes.
Like, I think the adults is seems like a Robert Rodriguez thing where he was like trying to find like people that were in like B movie. I used a hard P. People that were in like B movie stuff, like Selma Hayek, like Jon Stewart, Kruger, Piper Laurie, like all of these people that are like Robert Patrick,
Mm-hmm.
like all of these people that are like in sci-fi movies or some blockbusters, and then all the kids seemed like they, especially I bet Miramax, thought like we're putting together like the Brat Pack of the next
Yes,
generation
the
of
the
like
Breakfast Club
Hollywood
of
stars.
kids.
Yes, which we'll get into it one day, but the Breakfast Club is Rachel's hottest
Eh.
take, um, which we'll get into. So it comes out on Christmas Day, and I did you look up the box office? I didn't look up the
Oh,
box
I didn't look
office.
up the box. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, so it was okay, making $11,633,495.
And
It
it's opening
grossed,
day.
yeah, yeah, debuting, yep, it debuting weekend, and then
Hmm.
U.S. gross was 40.3 million.
I mean, it's gotta have been a hit. Like, what was his budget?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see the budget. I don't see budget
Cares about the
numbers.
budget.
I
But
don't
it,
see
it
the budget
came out
numbers.
to, I mean, it still has bad reviews online. Um, I
Oh, and what do
think
the
most
bad reviews
people,
say? There's like, oh, it's
well,
just a ripoff.
yeah, pretty much. It's they're pretty much all that it's like uncreative and stuff like that, which I don't know if I totally agree with, but I think after time, and especially with our generation now being adults and maybe looking back on it more fondly, it has garnered a bigger appreciation than it had at the time, which was that it was a ripoff of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It didn't have a lot of um, creative thinking, blah, blah, blah. Um, and I don't know. I mean, we're about to find out. So, is there anything else that we need to discuss before we get into our patented? Well, I mean, we'll license this. The licensed patent of our deep dive into the faculty. Then that means that the time has begun to get into the faculty.
Okay,
All right. Are you ready?
I think so.
Are you thoroughly prepared?
I am
Sweet.
thoroughly prepared.
Are you prepared to get injected with a healthy dose of 90s nostalgia?
That is what it is.
It's a time capsule. We have to say that it's a time capsule at some point. All right. So the faculty.
Lay the scene out for us.
Well, all right. So the movie starts with the offspring. So we know immediately that we're in the year 1998. And it's a Miramax logo, Dimension Films, the same company that brought you all the other high school horror movies. And we get right into it. It starts, and the first scene is the great Robert Patrick, and he is playing Coach Willis, I think is the character's name.
Yes, which I will probably just call the coach.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna call him Robert Patrick or just Coach the entire time, because who cares what his name is? But he is just yelling and screaming at this team. And then we also meet the quarterback. I don't know if this actor has ever been in anything, but
He's got one of
Stan,
those familiar faces where you just kind of assume he's in something else, but not like as a main character.
I'm assuming he's been in other of these type of movies at the time, and we just don't know. Like we're gonna stumble upon him every once in a while.
Right, which would be interesting. But that is Stan the quarterback.
And I don't know what Usher's character's name is in this at all.
Ah, I don't remember now. It came up on the screen. I didn't write it down, but Usher's in
Definitely not
this.
important. He might as well be named Usher Raymond.
So Usher.
But so Coach Robert Patrick is
Gabe.
yelling at
It's
them.
Gabe. His name is Gabe.
Gabe?
Yes. No, I remember because I remember him saying, "Hey, Gabe."
I remember saying, "Hey, Gabe."
Hold on.
So Coach Robert Patrick is yelling at him for not being quick enough on picking up a blitz or some shit. And then and they're walking off the field. Robert Patrick hilariously jogs over to the table filled with all the water and tips it over.
He just tips it right on over. That man has anger issues.
Oh, we'll get into it. Everyone in this movie has anger issues.
Absolutely.
This is maybe the angriest high school I've ever seen. But I just love a good. I want to be in a spot in my life one day where I'm so angry or I'm feigning so much anger that I flip a table.
It would be amazing. I would applaud, I think, if you ever did that.
It just seems like the greatest way to make it a statement that you are pissed off.
Yes.
And it just so great. So we know immediately that the coach is a hard ass. He rides the players, not literally. And it is prepping for some game. So we know it's football season. I think the setting is supposed to be like early in the school year because they talk about how hot it is a few times in the movie.
Which probably adds to their anger issues as well.
Do you think everyone's angry because it's hot out?
Well, think about it. A lot of the times in movies, when it gets hotter, people will just start getting angrier, and it's true in real life.
They got that heat, that sweat going on, and it's a shitty high school.
Oh yeah.
We can talk about this because this high school, like Rachel, you and I went to in our hometown. The high school there were some renovations going on, but for the most part, the high school was kind of. There was some dingy parts.
I had newer parts of the building that you didn't have.
That's right.
So,
but overall, like, not terribly.
No.
This school is a wreck.
Oh yeah.
This school needs at least a paint job, something.
Oh man, a lot of job probably.
It
smells like mold.
Oh, it smells like mold. It smells like ass. Mostly probably because the air conditioner is not working.
Oh, absolutely. Or they just don't have money to use it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem that we end up getting. Oh, before we get into it, so then he's mad that the sprinkler system starts to go off on the field.
Didn't he kick it?
He like stomps on it or something.
Yeah, I think he broke one of them or something ridiculous. But he's patting it with his hand at this point. Yeah,
he's pulling a homer with the garbage on the golf course, trying to keep the garbage from shooting out.
Yes,
that's what he's doing. And in the meantime, a shadowy figure walks up behind him.
We get like a first-person point of view.
It's you were seeing it from whoever this shadow is, and he's like. Hell do you want? I don't remember the exact...
Almost something exactly like that. I'll put in a clip.
It's something like that. And then we fade to black. Which, there's a few fade to blacks in this movie. I thought that was odd. That's gotta be a Robert Rodriguez thing.
Oh, maybe it is.
Seems so, like... Even old-fashioned for then?
I like that, though. I like that, like, old-fashioned fade in, because it kind of, like, breathes into the next scene.
It gave Pluto TV a chance to go to a commercial for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where I watched this on. I've got to say, I saw that damned Call of Duty Cold War commercial at least a dozen times.
Oh.
And...
See,
probably a couple other ones.
For me, I got your brother from Boston, like every other commercial.
Yeah.
Or is it your cousin?
Cousin from Boston. I don't know who those commercials are trying to appeal to, because are they saying that you're an obnoxious Bostonian if you drink Sam Adams?
Well, I think it's kind of like you can forgive him and his idiocy because he brings the Sam Adams.
Because he brought the Sam Adams.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's bringing the party.
Yeah, he's bringing the good stuff. You can deal with the Boston person because they bring the good stuff. Not that I don't drink beer.
You want a Sam Adams Boston Lager? How would you have felt if the speech that I gave at your wedding I did with a Boston accent? Would that have been appropriate?
I probably would have laughed, but I don't
I
know.
I don't I
It would have
I don't
been
know what anyone
weird.
would have thought. I think it
No,
would
I
have
would have just
again. I mean
confused
that
people.
speech was pretty much just catered to you,
Yes.
but I can't imagine what anyone would have thought if I did the entire speech in a Boston accent or as Vince McMahon.
Oh
Like
man, as a
that's a hell of an
character,
idea.
that's a hell of an
Yeah,
idea.
a hell of an idea. So anyway, we get into the next scene is, and I don't know how many schools do. First of all, I don't know how many schools have budget meetings like this where it's just the principal and some of the
Yeah, it was
faculty.
only a select few faculty.
It's just a few teachers. And it's the principal who, like, I'm sure principals have some budgetary, like, duties, but that feels like something that, like, the superintendent and the school board would do. I mean, like,
Right.
principals, if you're
They'd be a part
listening,
of it.
write in, but it doesn't feel like that would be, like, the primary objective of a principal.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, it's small town. Maybe it's different. But I still think there would be like a school board. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe in small town Ohio. I mean, this is small town Ohio, but apparently this was filmed in Texas.
Of course,
So
that.
I don't
Of
know
course.
if this is a real high school. If this was your high school and it looked this danky, please let us know
Oh,
because this
absolutely.
is
I want to know if that was your school. 'Cause, man.
Did you go to school during the time when they were filming The Faculty?
Oh,
Um,
maybe they just made it look really grungy. You think
like
it's just
made
like
it
really
worse.
gross?
I mean, it is Robert Rodriguez. I could see him being like, "No, we need to like beat the shit out of the walls and make this even grosser than it is."
yes.
But 90, I feel like we didn't go to high school in the 90s, and our grade schools were like fine. I don't remember them being grungy. I mean, as a
No.
kid, you don't really remember. But
It was older.
high schools in the 90s, I feel like they all were probably pretty run
Oh,
down.
I bet.
Just that Gen X, like, crapulence that they all went through. That's what I assume. And that's what I assume because of movies like this. That's what the high school in the 90s was.
Yeah.
Just a lot of crap. So anyway, they're going through the budget. We find out some things about staff, about the faculty, about the school. So you got Kruger. I don't remember that actor's name. He's a character actor. He's in some stuff. His best known work for me is Mr. Kruger on Seinfeld.
John Tate? No.
Is that it? Hang on. No, that might be it.
Well, then what the hell is this picture they have for him? It's
Yeah,
like he.
Daniel.
What the fuck
Yeah,
is that?
that's the what? Daniel von Bergen?
Bargain.
Yeah,
Bargain.
okay,
Okay,
so-
you can kind of see him saying bargain with his mouth like. Blah.
You
Anyways.
think he has the B word fat on his? He does have some jowls, I guess.
Anyway.
So yeah, Daniel von Bargen, who Mr. Kruger, who is playing, what's his name in the movie? Mr. Tate?
John
I'm gonna
Tate,
just call him
yes.
Kruger. He's a drunk. he's got a stash of booze in the faculty lounge, which is pretty great. And then Piper Laurie is playing a drama teacher. You have Principal Drake,
Yes.
who is trying to walk all of them through their budget restrictions, and she's basically telling them that none of them are going to get anything that they want. The football team gets everything because it's a football town. It's
Which
in
small town football
small
town.
I guess small town Ohio. I guess it would be a football town. Like again, it feels like why didn't you just set it in Texas? Like why is it set in Ohio?
Because
But
Midwest, I guess. I don't know.
I guess yeah. Maybe they didn't want to do like Southern accents.
Oh, that could be
might
it
help.
too. Because
That could, maybe to make Mary Beth, they could have given her a Boston accent.
that
instead
would have
of,
been weird. I kind of like that she's more Southern.
I'm
girl. I think
Mary
there's
Beth Louise Hutchinson.
Yeah, I don't know about
from
that
Boston.
one. From Boston.
So we get the idea that the football team kind of runs the school, which might explain why the school is so crappy. Like they only care about football, which you know what we're gonna have to do when we get to it. is we're gonna have to rank the best of the worst high school coaches. Like, and guys, I know you're listening. You will definitely be guests on the show for Varsity Blues, but we're gonna have to rank like John Voight, Robert Patrick, like all of these the coaches of football teams uh, in movies and TV shows. So anyway, Principal Drake, they go through the budget. She finishes it, and then they all are leaving, and the Principal Drake realizes that she forgot her keys. So she goes back in to get her
Right,
keys,
and now
and
she's
this
also
is
with the other teacher, that the little bit like the ooh type of teacher.
yeah, Piper Laurie, yeah, playing Mrs. Olson, the drama teacher, I think she
Is she
is.
the drama teacher? I don't know if
Well, she's putting together a
she
play
seems.
because
Oh
one
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah. The play doesn't get
guys
any
and
money. You're right.
dolls,
You're right.
yeah. So she must be something else because you're not just a drama teacher, especially if like there's no other budget at this school. Like they're not just doing drama.
True. Maybe she's like arts
Yeah, yeah, something with
something.
arts. So she goes back in to grab her keys, and as she's grabbing her keys, we get our first like scream
Yeah,
jump scare
it's
that
dark. It's kind of like moody. You kind of have this feeling of like something is gonna pop out.
and she gets spooked by Robert Patrick himself. Who wouldn't you be scared
I
if
mean, a
Robert
little.
Patrick
He's got that
died?
face that looks a little angry.
He is the Terminator. He is the T-1000
Yes,
in
he
this.
is.
He is doing a creepier version of the T-1000.
Yes.
Um, and he hits on her. What does he tell her? You look
You
very
look very
pretty.
pretty tonight, or something like that. And that he needs a pencil. And it was like trying to be
I couldn't tell if they
sexual,
were.
I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
couldn't
need a
tell.
pencil. Put your pencil
Like,
away. Like,
and spoiler alert, he's been taken over. He's been body snatched at this point. But like, so I think like they kind of do like a camera shift over to the pencil. So you assume that it's not that he's just looking for something in the
right.
room to
He's kind of
ask
like,
for.
I need a, and then it like pans over to the
But
pencil.
otherwise, it is the worst job of hitting on someone ever. Because as a man, you would not be saying, "I need a pencil." That's the dumbest thing you could say. So anyway,
Well, he
she
takes the pencil though. Like,
well, she gets pissed off and she's like, "Have the fucking pencil."
well, yeah, she goes, "You and your pencil need to go to bed or something." But because
and
anger.
he stabs her through the hand.
Yes,
with
he
the
takes the pencil and just stabs it right through her hand.
which seems a little uncalled for. I'm not really sure what brought that on, but so then we get at the next like minute or two is a chase through the school. She's trying to get away from him. He gets on the PA system at one point.
Yes.
Um,
To like
they
lead her
end
back
up in
to the
like
principal office and
they end up in like a science lab. She hits him over the head with like something glass. It
I
breaks.
think it was a beaker.
Oh, a beaker. Oh, it's from the Muppet Christmas Carol, by the way.
Write this down.
Um, uh, and she gets to the door, which has been padlocked.
Well, I assume that's what he did like right after he saw her come back in, right?
Okay, so you think that
Or is
Robert
it
Patrick locked her in?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's locked from the inside, not the outside.
Yes. Right. Okay. I mean, I guess
I
that's the
think.
only thing that makes sense. Also, there's no like night janitor at this school, which maybe there's not. I don't know.
I don't know.
I always
It
feel
might
like
just be
there
like
was someone at the school.
it feels
but
like there should be a night janitor that she like runs into or something, but
that would have been fun. That would have been a nice little role for somebody to be
Right.
the night janitor. You could have gotten Quentin Tarantino as the night janitor, or George Clooney. Like that would have been a
oh,
good
that would have
like.
been funny actually.
That would have been a historically funny thing. Now, I guess he probably would have been too big for the time because the same year he was Batman already. But like if
True.
it came out like a year or two early, or like LL Cool J as the night janitor, like that would have been fun.
Just sitting there mopping.
Because there isn't a janitor in this
Yeah,
movie.
which is odd. You kind of would think that there's a janitor. The coach
There's no
kind of
lunch
plays
lady?
that role though.
Who
The
does?
coach, I think, like kind of plays that role of if there was a janitor in the movie, he kind of plays that kind of a character.
What? Okay. I mean, I guess, like, I'm kind of curious to know what you mean by that.
I don't know how to explain it. I guess it's the attitude of the character. So like if you had a janitor, he'd also be like that grumbly kind of guy that'd be like, "Oh, these damn kids" type of thing.
Yeah, that's
So he
true. Like,
kind
yeah,
of
I do want.
plays that for us, but as the
Yeah,
angry coach instead.
you're right. Because it would need to be like an older
Crotchety kind of guy.
character. Yeah, a crotchety guy. Yeah, a Wilford Brimley.
Yeah,
You
there
bring
you
in
go.
Wilford Brimley, or even like somebody from the original Body Snatchers, like as a
Yes.
cameo. That could have been fun.
President Snow.
Yes, Donald
I'm sorry, I couldn't
Sutherland
think of his name.
as your old janitor in the faculty. For some reason, he just talks like with this like he's the most formal and educated person.
Oh,
He's
that
the
could
one
have
that
been
figures
it.
out.
Maybe
the one
he's
that
not
figures out
crotchety.
something's
He's
weird.
just like, yeah, he's very astute. He's very learned,
Yeah,
but he's a
yeah.
janitor.
Yeah, he's the one trying to warn the kids. It's very groundskeeper Willie
Yes,
in that One Tree Has a Horror.
absolutely. I think
Um,
that's the way it should have gone.
we found a way to improve this movie. I didn't think we were gonna do it, but we found it.
We did it.
Oh, hello, children. We can stop them using caffeine pills. I can't do a Donald Sutherland. It's a very hard
I
one.
I kind of got it though. I got it.
Yeah, all right. Well,
I'll give it
take
to you.
I'll take it. So anyway, she's trying to get out. She finally gets the keys. She's fumbling around with the keys
And
at
we
the door.
and we have Piper Laurie, the Karen Olsen character, going, "Oh, just get out! He's coming!
Yeah,
He's
she's
coming!"
very like
Oh.
she seems like a very worrisome person.
Yes.
So the keys end up on the outside of the door somehow. I guess they get kicked
I think so.
underneath
Because they
the
have it
door.
like partially open.
She finally. Oh no, so it finally gets open. She slams it shut in the coach's face. So they're like, okay, now we've gotten out. We're saved from the coach, and she turns around. Oh, at some point she grabs a pair of scissors to stab the coach or like protect
because she
herself.
had gone get her keys. I think she grabbed the scissors too.
So she's still got the pair of scissors, and her and Olsen are on the outside. Coach is on the inside. And they're like, oh, okay, finally, like we've got him caught. Like we'll have to call
The police
somebody
or something.
And in the twist, Olsen
Her
and
face
it's
turns like immediately to like angry, like or like just very stoic instead of worried.
and they do it seemed very much like a Psycho homage or homage,
Oh yeah, a
if
little
you
bit.
will.
Yeah.
Where she does the stabs. And we don't see her. I don't think we see her actually getting stabbed. And that's
No,
why I
you
think
just kind of see like the camera moving angles
yeah,
a few times.
it's absolutely like a Psycho thing.
Right.
And that's our cold open. Like that is how the movie opens.
Exactly. And I do
So then
think, and I know you were saying I don't know why he stabbed her, or why, like, and it's kind of odd that this one just like stabs the hell out of the principal as well. I think it's just because they were taken over. It's kind of one of those things that they've wanted to do. It's a desire, and so like the thing lets them use like do the desire because they're gonna take over the body anyways.
Because she does say before the end, I have always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just think I think that's kind of, you'll see it later on, we'll talk about it, but I think other teachers, other faculty members do that as well. They bring out a desire that they just have like kind of like shut down.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's your contention on that one?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's my theory.
I've contended. I could contend that. Yes, I've contended that. So it goes to the following day, or the next day. We see the title card for the faculty, and there's the background music kicks in, of which we get in full later, is that Pink Floyd cover. it's like Alice in Chains, and like there's some other like '90s bands that are
Mm-hmm.
doing it. But we get our introduction of our kid characters, our high schoolers. We get first is Zeke coming in through the GTO with his GTO. But the first character we actually get the nameplate for, which like each character
Oh, I
gets like
love
a
it.
little
The pause and
name
the
introduction,
nameplate. Like,
which is very, I mean, and that's what makes like in certain movies that would not work. It would not work at
oh
all.
no.
Um,
It's a little
it
too
works
campy for everything
here.
else.
It works here for some reason, and we'll talk about movies where it doesn't work, but it works here. So the first thing we get is Casey, played by the great Elijah Wood.
Yes. Frodo.
Um, he, you know what though? You say that he basically is Frodo in this movie,
He
and I will
is.
talk
He
about it
is
as we go
Frodo in this
through.
movie. I thought the same thing. Okay, go on.
And
I wrote it
and
down.
apparently he like I saw in the trivia the in the Tribune that he learned about the audition uh, during the movie. Like this is where he like learned to do the audition or whatever.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know if that's
That
true.
would be
It's in
weird.
the it's in the trivia, so who knows? Um but yes, he's basically just playing a 1998 version of Frodo. Um then you get so he gets beat up or like pushed over. And then
Yes, because his nose was bleeding.
he gets and then they four like
Oh
bullies pick him
man.
up and they nut him into the
Right
flagpole,
into the flagpole.
which is
Who
I mean
does
that's a
that?
devastating maneuver.
That's
Again,
those are
it again
extreme
shows you
bullies. Those are extreme bullies.
extreme bullies. Well, and it shows you how like crappy this high school is. Like
Right.
he's just getting the shit kicked out of him. It appears that this happens to him all the
Right,
time.
so he's kind of the loser.
So then, as he's getting beat up, we then Stokely walks by. Stokely's your emo
Oh
girl.
yeah, you can tell. Well, I would say more so goth.
Oh, okay.
I think nerd like the gothy type of person because
I
she
guess
just
that's
wears
fair.
black. She's just kind of like
Yes.
but she's not like
Yeah,
emo. Emo is a little different.
you're right. You're right. My apologies to the emo community and the goth community. They are different. As South Park has taught me, there is a very large difference. So you're right, goth. I'll refer to her as goth. Um, then we see these girls get into a like a fender bender getting
Yes.
to school, and they get into like a cat
They
fight,
just
which I thought was
immediately start
hilarious.
fighting.
Which again, the angriest people at this school. Just
Absolutely.
everyone hates each other at this school.
Yep, they rag on each
Uh,
other, they beat each other. Oh, a good line comes out of this area when we see Stan walk up as well, as you're seeing Stokely. They run into each other,
hmm.
and Stokely says something about, I think she says get bent to him, and then he turns and calls her a beast. And I just love it, because you'd expect him to say a different B word, but the beast comes out, and it's wonderful.
Well, and this we'll talk about some of these insults that these kids are
I wrote
slinging
some
around.
down, it's great.
but but it's not like this movie. This movie's rated R. One of the I mean, when we were watching it for this podcast, like I remember we were like, "What? Like, is this rated R?" And then like the first, or like, is
Oh
this
yeah, and
uncensored?
you were saying like, oh, I don't, they probably can't even swear. I don't even remember if they did
Yeah, and
swear.
somebody calls somebody else like a fuck face, like right. I don't think it's fuck
No,
face,
no,
but
I think
somebody
I believe
tells.
it's no, wait. No, I think that's later. Never mind. I'm sorry. I think someone just literally yells "fuck" and that's
That's right. Yeah.
it.
Oh, Josh Hartnett yells "fuck" at some point. Yes. Stokely, played by I don't have the actress's name. What's her name?
Clea
Rach?
Duvall.
Clea Duvall, who I don't think I know from a lot.
I
I
know
figure
her
you
face.
might
I'm trying to
know.
think. I think she plays a similar character in like a couple movies, but I
Yeah,
don't remember everything that she's in.
yeah. I think she's been in some stuff. Definitely. She's definitely in She's All That. Which add that to the list. And some other things from the 90s. But she always comes off as to me as like a alternative version of Fairuza Balk. Like if you can't get her, you come catch Clea Duvall. But she's playing Stokes, as Casey comes to call her. So then we get. Oh, I even wrote in my notes. All these high schoolers seem to be very angry people.
Right. Well, Delilah
And
comes up next.
oh, well, then Delilah comes up. Delilah, this played by Jordana Brewster. So you immediately realize she's kind of superficial.
She's
She's got her Estee
head
Lauder
cheerleader.
lipstick. I didn't realize she was the head cheerleader. I was like, so I put this down, and I guess we learn later that she's the head
Yes.
cheerleader. But she doesn't have any, like, and I like this about this movie. She only says that in passing.
Yes, she's not wearing
Like,
the uniform like in every other teen movie.
she doesn't seem to care that she's
No,
the head cheerleader.
she's more into being an editor.
Yeah, she is way more into being editor of this paper, and I like that. Now she is the worst. Like
She's high maintenance. She's very high maintenance.
And there's at some point in this movie, because Casey is a photographer, so she is the editor of the school paper. He is the photographer of the school paper, and you can tell they're kind of friends.
Well, they
Like,
kind of talk. You know, they kind of like talk with each
yeah,
other.
they have to do stuff with each other, so they get along. They're friendly. And at some point, like he says about Delilah that like, oh, she can be pretty cool sometimes. We never see that. We only ever see Delilah being the worst person ever.
Right. Yes. And she's dating Stan.
She is dating Stan, the quarterback.
Right.
Which is where that line comes up where she's like, because at some point Stan tells her that he's quitting the football team,
Right.
and that's when she
And
says,
she goes,
like,
the head cheerleader has to date the head quarterback or whatever it is. And it's just like...
the head quarterback.
Well, you know what I mean, the quarterback. The high school, the team quarterback.
Who is your head quarterback in fantasy right now, Rachel? Is it Lamar Jackson or Jared Goff?
Well, I'm playing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
so...
Lamar Jackson's your head,
However,
is the head quarterback.
But Jared Goff, yeah, you know, anyways.
Anyways. And then we meet, I guess not last but not least, we get Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson, played by Laura
always
Harris.
the full name.
Always the full name. Always from Atlanta. She's got a southern accent. She's the Southern Belle. She's a sweet little gal.
And she's new.
And she asked where the office is. I thought it was interesting. She asked where the office is. She just asked some random. It turns out that's Robert Rodriguez's sister.
Oh, is it really?
That like
just like the burnout sitting on the.
Yeah,
the
who
steps.
just kind of like points or like
points
just
in
kinda, like,
and points inside. That's it.
into
Just
the
points
building?
into the building.
And then of course you get Zeke is the final character that we get introduced to. He's in he goes into this dingy ass bathroom, which I would not
ever go into.
I always in high school had a pretty strong bladder. I would hold it in as much during the day as possible just because it's a dingy high school bathroom. True. No matter how you slice it.
Yep.
This bathroom is disgusting.
Oh yeah, it's gross.
And
you know something sketchy is going on in there all the time.
It's a cesspool. I mean, this clearly is Zeke's best office. Like, there is not a person over 17 going into this bathroom.
Absolutely not. Not even that janitor that doesn't exist.
Right, not even Don Sutherland's janitor character. He is let the kids do whatever they want in there.
Yep. And because it's right next to the front door, too. Which is a weird spot to me.
Weirdest spot.
Like, why
is there a bathroom right there?
Yeah.
Now, I do find that convenient. And there have been times, Rachel, where in a public setting, if there was a bathroom right next to the front door, I would have been saved some grief.
Oh, jeez.
Because the last, I mean, if you walk into a building, the first thing you don't think is right there is a bathroom.
Right.
Like, if you're looking for a bathroom and there's one right there, Yeah, at the very least,
Mm-hmm.
it an odd setup for this high school that there's a bathroom right in the entrance. And we run into Zeke. He's selling he calls it scat.
Yeah, which is an odd thing because that just,
Um,
I mean, that's just the word for poop, scat. So,
and I'll get into it a little bit later on, maybe. I guess I can talk about it now. I don't. So we find out about Zeke is that he's secretly a genius. He makes this himself. It's his
right,
home recipe. I
right.
think he knows what he's doing by calling it that. Because I think he is basically a con man.
Oh yeah, absolutely a
And
con man.
he's selling junk to the idiots at this
Right.
school.
He knows he can make money. He knows what he's doing.
Okay,
He's
okay.
also a super senior. He was held back.
He is a super senior. He was held back. We learned that here through a bad exposition from the guy from that '70s show,
Yep.
also in this.
For two
Who
seconds.
also a scumbag, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Sadly.
and it pans over in Casey's in the. This is where you get your fuck, by the way,
Oh
Rachel.
yeah, yeah.
Because Elijah Wood is in the stall and he's trying. He's very daintily putting wiping his nose and he's draping toilet paper onto like the seat
Yep.
and he because why wouldn't you?
And he's
You're
like
in this
shoved
gross
in the
bathroom.
corner of the toilet too.
Which like you don't even have to. Like you can sit on the
I'm pretty
toilet.
sure he was in the handicap stall, and it was like way larger, and he's like crammed in between the
Well, he
door
is
and
Frodo. Like he needs
the
to
toilet.
hide from Zeke and others that could beat him up. Um,
I don't think Zeke ever beats him up. I don't think Zeke's a
no, I think
bully.
Zeke. I think Zeke kind of likes him. I think Zeke's got some affection for Casey. But everyone does think that Casey's weird,
Oh yeah.
and I I don't know if I feel that, but
I mean,
again,
he's
we'll
kind of
talk
like
about it.
that weirdo loser kid that you kind of go, okay, he's quiet and weird, and just leave him in the corner type of
Delilah
thing.
calls him the weird
Oh
Stephen
yeah, the weird
King
Stephen
kid.
King kid. Yes, that is what she says.
which, which I guess means that he has
Well,
telepathic powers or something.
oh, maybe. Oh, I guess maybe that. Maybe is that what she means? Is that like
No,
breaking
there's no
it?
way that's what.
Well, because like he's into movies, I think, not books. So I don't even know why she says
He's
that.
definitely into movies. Yes, which we find out compared to Stokely.
Who's into
Stokely is more into
books,
books.
right? So they're both
Um,
kind of like that nerdy, kind of outcast person.
right. Well, and one thing to note, and why I think that this gets elevated above a lot of other things which do these rip-offs and do these high school horrors and all this stuff, and why I like it, why I'll defend it, because I get it. I definitely get it. It's not. This isn't high art. This is a B movie.
Yes.
I would say all of these characters are playing stereotypes, but there's a twist to their stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
They're all playing characters from Breakfast Club, but there's a twist to it. Zeke is a burnout. He's repeating his senior year, but he is a genius. He's
Right.
secretly a genius. Delilah is the head cheerleader. She's superficial, but she's more into being like a
An
reporter
editor,
and the
right?
editor
And
of the
she's just
paper and being
playing.
smart.
She seems to be just playing it for school until she's done with school. I think.
Uh,
I think
yeah,
it's just to
Stan,
help her standing.
yeah. I think she's doing it to be the queen bee.
Right.
Uh, and Stokely
She
is
puts on the
your
front so that people like
your
leave her alone.
goth, but yeah, it's just so people leave her alone.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess, as close to like the Breakfast Club kind of character as you get. She's not as far away removed from it,
Right.
but being into sci-fi and stuff, I think, does pull her away from it a
Right.
little bit. And then, who am I forgetting? Oh, Stan
Yep.
is the jock,
Who
but
wants to be
he
smart?
wants to be. He's not smart, but he wants to be.
Yeah.
He wants to earn it.
Yes.
More so than just get it because. And so I think that does like elevate it above everything else. So at this point, we meet the rest of the faculty. We go back to the faculty lounge and we meet the rest of them. Salma Hayek is playing the nurse. She's incredibly sick.
Oh yeah. Like go
Um,
home. Like even in these times, I'm just like, oh god, that's so gross that you're there.
Even before these times, she shouldn't. Like in these times, she would be thrown in jail. But before this, there's no, like, even then somebody should be telling
Well,
her to go
it
home.
was gross because she like wipes her nose with her fingers and then touches the bandage that she's putting on this person.
That's a good
Oh,
catch. I didn't
so
catch that.
gross.
That's a good catch. So she's a bad nurse, is what we're finding out, and all the entire faculty sucks. Like they're all the type of teachers that are just like, give me my
In it
tenure.
for
I'm
themselves.
trying to get through this. I'm trying to just retire with my pension.
Yep.
Um, and she says like she wants to use her sick days for when she's not sick, or when she's feeling better, or something like that.
Right.
John Stewart is in this. He hits on her.
Of course.
John Stewart's character hilariously named Edward Furlong. Screw you on that one. That's such a stupid. I don't think they ever call him Edward in the movie. I think they do call him Mr. They call him Mr. Furlong.
Right. They might call him Ed. I think they say Ed from the other faculty
Oh,
members.
maybe. And then the only thing that's kind of weird. You get Famke Jensen, Jean Grey herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she is kind of a mousy
Oh, yeah.
English teacher.
Absolutely how I would have described her is mousy.
A kind of frumpy.
Yep.
She's doing the she's all that.
Yes,
of this
absolutely. The
particular
I'm frumpy
movie,
but not as frumpy at all type of person. Just remove
Right.
the glasses.
which we find out later. Yes, she combs her hair and removes the glasses. And then Coach is also in there, and he keeps drinking water.
That's all he's
by the
doing.
water cooler, not acknowledging anything else. So you get a little bit more. You get a little more characters in here. We learn that it's super hot out. That Kruger is like, that bitch won't turn the air
Oh yeah,
conditioner
there's a
on.
sign on the air conditioning that says "Don't use this."
That's a lot of fun. And then the only thing, so the coach drinking the water is weird, and then Mrs. Olson walks in with like she's all dolled up.
new, right? And then he says the same thing he said to the principal, where "You're looking pretty today."
Right. I
Creepy.
do think Robert Patrick, of all of the characters in this that become, spoiler alert, that become aliens, I think he does the best job of acting like an alien trying to figure out how to talk like a human.
Right.
And I don't know
I
if
kind of agree with that. I think Terminator
Like-
might have helped him with that.
possibly, because he is like trying to figure out how to say things like a human. There's one scene in this where Stan goes to tell Robert Patrick that he quit the team in their impossible high school pool, which comes into play later. And Robert Patrick is like, "Oh, I'm not going to stand in the way of the human condition. Like, what kind of a human being would I be?"
And then he smiles.
It almost feels like he's
creepily.
testing Stan to be like, "You tell me what my response
Does
should be
this
here."
seem right to you?
But again, I really like it. Like, I think it's a really good performance.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if he acts like that because he's the first person turned.
Probably.
So now, like, as more and more people become turned, then acting more human is actually the weird thing.
Right.
So the rest of them don't come off as odd, because he comes off as odd. Like, people
Yeah.
should be
He does-
like, what is wrong with him?
He also does more interaction with people than the other ones do after they're turned.
That we see of, yes, that's true too. So then we get a little scene where we get the character relationship between.
The new girl.
Well, first we get Famke Janssen doing the Mrs. What's her name? Miss
Elizabeth Burke.
Oh, Miss Burke. That's
Yep.
right. Yeah, because it's Principal Drake and Miss Burke.
Yes.
I feel like those names are close, but
They
yeah,
are,
so
actually. It does feel that way.
Miss Burke, and Zeke is in her class, and he's being a smartass, but this is where we get to find out that he is a genius.
Right.
He gets the point of, what is it, like Robert Caruso?
It was Caruso's
being alone
book,
on
yeah.
the island.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we get a little bit of that. He's got one of his scat pens just kind of dangling there because he's always ready to sell to whoever needs to be sold. Oh, okay. So this is where I didn't realize, because this is where Stan and Delilah have the conversation about being the head
Yes,
cheerleader.
in the hallway.
Because at first I wrote down in my notes, is she's the popular girl because she controls the school paper?
Well, that's actually, I like that concept, though. She controls what's being told.
She controls the media. She
Yeah.
controls the means of production.
And she also,
Um,
outs people constantly, because, the conversation she's having with that girl, and she's just like, print them all. Like, yeah, we're gonna,
yeah,
out
yeah.
them, type of thing.
Yeah, so
So,
she is the Regina George of this high school.
absolutely.
She controls it. And I also wrote down Stan's an idiot. I don't remember why I wrote that down, but I did write down Stan's an idiot.
Well, he's just kind of doofy.
he is he is kind of he does not look like a quarterback, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But later Usher Raymond is playing like linebacker and
That makes more
clotheslining
sense.
people.
Right.
Um so she is super witty. She has like a yellow brick road line or something, which obviously like she's telling him like come back from Oz or whatever.
Mm.
Like I just have the feeling that the two of them go on dates and she insults him using uh references
Wit.
and stuff that go over Stan's head constantly.
Oh, absolutely.
He does not understand how much Delilah actually loathes him.
Right. Well, she doesn't even let him kiss him at the beginning. Like you said, her lipstick was like, oh, it takes so long to put
Yeah.
on, and it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know if their relationship is really a relationship.
We get a little bit more of this '90s alternative fart rock. Very '90s soundtrack. There's a scene of where Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson walks
Mm-hmm.
up to Stokes,
Yep.
and I like okay. You want to talk about making an assumption? Stokely's reading. I can't remember what she's reading. She's reading some book,
Yeah.
and Mary Beth is like, "Oh, y'all into like multi-universes and aliens and UFOs and such?"
Do you
And
believe
it's
that
like
stuff? Yeah.
she's reading a book.
Right.
Like, why would
Instantly
that
says, "You're a sci-fi dork." Okay.
which is the movie's way of trying to
Let us
just
know.
expedite the process.
Yeah.
It's like exposition.
It's
of,
like,
yes,
yes,
she's a sci-fi
and
dork.
she's really into books, and yes, that is her nerdy center.
Yeah. But Delilah interrupts
Oh,
them,
yes.
comes up,
Here comes one of my one of my favorite insults.
makes sure to she lets Mary Beth know that Stokes is a lesbian, an angry lesbian, which like Delilah is an angry person as well. Do you want to say the insults that go back and forth here, Rachel?
Well, is there multiple? Because I only wrote down one. I don't remember what the
I've
other
got
one
two.
is. Okay, what was?
I've got two.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Go ahead and tell the Delilah one because I've got the Stokes.
Oh no, I
one.
have the Stokes one.
Just say them because I don't know which ones you have.
Fuck you, gutter slut.
Yes, gutter slut is what
I
I
love
had,
it.
which I thought was pretty great. And then she also calls Delilah a bipolar bitch.
Oh yes, I have that down, but I thought that was later. But maybe you're right. She does go bipolar bitch, and then that's how that goes.
Which again, we don't see Delilah acting anything else other than a bitch.
Right.
But fine, whatever. But I don't remember Delilah calling Stokely anything other than an angry.
Maybe it was
lesbian.
just the angry lesbian line, and then it goes into goes into the other stuff.
So what?
But
so
man,
what
the
happens?
lines of just angry at each other and just going at it with the insults.
And I guess what this is all supposed to
Oh.
represent is that none of
We did miss something. As
Go
Zeke
ahead.
is walking into the school, we have a couple that comes roaring down the hallway, screaming at each other and hitting each other, literally physically hitting each other, and then just out the door.
yes,
This
yes.
couple that just goes crazy. I mean, the anger.
that couple gets part of the victory lap at the end of the movie too, which is odd.
Yes.
But that couple comes back later in the movie. But yes, at this point in the movie, they are
And she's
violently beating
Yep.
each other.
and she's calling him a pussy, and it's just going crazy.
So the point of this is now we've got an introduction of our characters. We've learned a little bit more about them. None of them have any friends. They're all outcasts in their own way. They all don't belong in the circle where they are, or they have no circle. And we get a
So
little
what
bit
you're
more of this.
saying is this is a coming of age movie where they kind of figure themselves out.
Sort of. and Casey is eating lunch by himself in the stadium. He finds this alien thing on the field, or I guess to me
It
they
looks
look
like
like
a
edamame.
bug.
I think, yeah, like cicadas. I
Yes.
thought they looked kind of like something you'd order for an appetizer at a restaurant. Like if you fried those things up, they
It,
probably are pretty good eating.
yeah, I could see that.
Like it looks kind of like edamame or something like that. Like
Well,
it's
edamame is green. They're not green.
yeah, but like that, like pea,
That
like a
shape.
pea
Oh yeah, the
shaped
shape.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, so he finds this thing, and then I just wrote down Robert Patrick is terrifying.
Well, yeah,
Like
because
you
he
get
comes up and he says something crazy, and like he says something about how he should run more instead of just being lazy. And the kid says, and I think they do a lot of foreshadowing in these things. So like, I guess spoiler alert, but whatever. He goes, "Well, I only run if I'm being chased."
yeah, I only think someone should run if
They're
they're
being
being
chased.
chased.
Mm-hmm.
So then Stan and Stoke run into each other again. I wrote so much anger in this movie.
Oh yeah, because they just keep bumping into each other and they keep yelling at each other
Yeah.
and then just
So
moving
that's
on.
their meet cuteness, I guess. Oh, the thing that does change that Stokely knows about football.
Yes.
Like she does know football,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is supposed to be like how it subverts from the usual. Um, and as Casey when Robert Patrick goes, get out of here. I like as like Casey
Yes.
kind of like like
Right, and he
Frodo.
runs away.
He Frodo runs away like this like sheepish little like
Right.
this like little dorky runaway,
Yep.
which I really liked as well. I laughed at it when I saw it. Um, so we go back to now like a biology room, and all of our main characters, except for Delilah and Stan, are in this class. So Mary Beth asks Stokes if they want to be lab partners. This is where we learn that she's not really a lesbian. She just does it to be an outcast.
Right, because it like puts people off that they don't want to be. Because this is, remember,
This is 1998. Yeah.
so it's still kind of like a taboo type of thing.
Sure.
Which it's like weird now watching it because you're just like, why would that put people off? But okay.
I feel like they should. Yeah. I mean, I guess because they're doing a Breakfast Club type thing, like it feels now like they would just have her be a lesbian.
Right? Why not?
But then you don't get the Breakfast Club stuff
Sure.
at the end.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's not really a lesbian, and yeah, I love
That's
Mary
a lot
Beth's.
of it. Yeah.
Mary Beth's answer to that is complex, which I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Which,
First she's like, "Please be a lesbian, fly free," and then she
I
said,
did
"You're
not-
complex." Like.
I didn't get it at first, but knowing what's coming, this is why I think, because I kept thinking about all the times that, spoiler alert, Mary Beth can turn these people,
Mm-hmm.
and she never does until she absolutely has to. I think she's looking for people that are, and we kind of get it later on in a monologue. She's looking for people that are kind of lonely, and that feel that are purposely being like outcast,
Mm-hmm.
that are purposely trying to outcast themselves. I think she finds that interesting.
Right.
So she's trying to learn more about like the human condition.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, is that she's really trying to learn how people are, and she's just like, oh, they can be complex. Like, they have a lot of different, like, sides to them than she thought there was. Because they kind of do the stereotype thing.
Right. And I'm sure we're giving... everyone, you're gonna, if this is your first time on Shelf Life, or this is you coming back to listen to old episodes, I'm assuming that you're gonna learn. We're going to talk and look way too deep into stuff that we're gonna give the writers and producers and actors and artists and whatever we do way too much credit. But that's part of the fun that we have with all of this stuff. That's kind of why we're doing this. So yes, maybe or maybe not, Kevin Williamson and Robert Rodriguez had that in mind. It doesn't matter. We're having fun.
Yes, that's the point.
But also subscribe to our Patreon that we eventually have. So anyway,
it doesn't exist right now.
It will one day, and you can become a Hard P club member. So anyway, they're in this room. Casey brings Mr. Furlong the the alien that he finds on the field. So they're looking at it. They're looking at it, and
Oh, we learned
this
that
is when
Zeke knows stuff about like animal
Zeke is
kingdom
also a
stuff
science.
and
Yeah,
blah blah blah.
he's like a science whiz as
And
well.
the professor is just such a smart scientist. Like, why is he working in this crappy high school type
You know,
thing?
I thought about it a little bit, but he's also like trying to get that he says he's trying to get that grant money,
Oh,
but
okay.
not to tell anyone. So he's also kind of like, yeah, they do make Jon Stewart, Mr. Furlong, seem like he's a little bit better. Like I feel like Miss Burke is like that too, where it's like they're just kind of stuck at this high school.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're
Well,
gonna become like Kruger, where they're just drunks because
sure.
they've just
It
can't take it anymore.
it is one of those things though where you bring the weird species you found to the high school science teacher, like in Gremlins too. They did the same thing where
Oh, that's true. It
they
is the
bring
Gremlins.
Gizmo or like the yeah, he brings Gizmo to the
Yeah, he
science
brings
teacher,
Gizmo.
and so it's just
Yeah.
like let me bring it to my science teacher because that's the only like smart person that you know that would know stuff about animals
You
and things.
you think there's a better person that he could have brought it to?
No, not I have no
S-
idea. Though I'm just saying, like it's just as like a high school kid, that's kind of what you think.
yeah. Well,
And where else am I gonna take it?
if you had to pick someone, because this is an important question,
Uh oh.
I think personally, if you're gonna pick someone to lead you through, because Gremlins, that could have been a Gremlins reference, it's possible. But if you're gonna pick someone to lead you through one of these scenarios, are you picking Billy Peltzer, or are you picking Casey Connor? Are we? Are we? Because I think that Casey is more qualified to lead you through. Like, I think Casey would not have screwed up as bad as Billy in the Gremlins.
I agree. I agree. Casey seems to be a bit more aware of like his
I think he's a
surroundings.
coward.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
Casey's a
And
coward.
he learns. He learns to be learns to be like a hero. But like,
We'll get into that. I actually might disagree with you on that, but
well, that's the concept.
so Usher tells Stokes, maybe it's from your planet, because at some point somebody says like it's a new species, and I
Right.
guess it is Usher that says maybe it's from your planet. So he's actually the first one to
Yep.
imply that it could be an alien. And then I wrote this one down because again, it's
Oh yeah.
another.
It's a good one.
Stokes calls Usher a blood fart,
Yep.
which I guess is just that sounds like something is. Folks at home, if you're having a blood fart, please go to the doctor, because something is seriously wrong. You should not be having blood farts. Um, but yeah, again, another great insult written into
Yep.
the script there. They are high schooly type insults,
Sure.
though.
Oh yeah.
This knocks over, like, she shoves him when she says it.
Mm-hmm.
This knocks over like a beaker, and the thing gets wet, and it kind of like wakes up for a second.
Right. Because it was
So
a little dried out because it was hot. So it was
yes,
hot, so it was dried out while it was outside.
so Mr. Furlong gets the idea. Jon
Which
Stewart
is a weird
take
thing. This is a weird thing because as a scientist kind of person, would you really just do this immediately? Like, oh, let's drown it. It just
I
got a little
yeah, I
wet.
thought
You know
about
what?
that
I
too.
think it lives in the water.
I guess if it sinks to the bottom or it just kind of floats and does nothing, you can pull it back out.
I guess.
But it does seem weird that, I mean, his first instinct is like, well, the water resuscitated it, so
Yep.
we can try it. Although they do mention, Zeke or Jon Stewart mention at some point,
Oh, it's
like, we're
aquatic.
gonna,
It's aquatic,
yeah,
right?
that they thought because of the way that it's shaped, it's aquatic or something.
Okay, okay.
So
Fine,
they drop
fine.
it into.
But you have this empty tank in your class, and you're just like, all right, let's
I
chuck it
have no
in.
idea why there's this a gigantic empty aquarium.
Yep.
Like, it makes me think that something wrong happened in that
I'd
classroom
imagine.
earlier
They
in
had
the
a pet
semester.
or something.
Because there's just an empty tank of water. He drops it in the empty tank of water. It grows,
Hmm.
and then it like comes out with like these weird,
It looks like that zebra fish.
because it has the weird tentacles.
Isn't that what it's called? A zebra fish?
Because is that the one that has like
It
the
has those
weird?
crazy things on it. It's like a Can you see it?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It does look like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a zebrafish mixed with edamame. That's how I would describe it. I mean, I'm telling you, because there's going to be a lot of these things left over at the end of this movie. You get these things to a sushi restaurant, I think that
Oh
you
my
could sell them
god.
for, I bet they taste pretty good. Because you dry them out, you fry these suckers up. Um, so John Stewart, in his infinite wisdom, is like, I want to touch it. I
Oh,
don't
but
know why.
yeah, because he's like, oh well, the skin changed. I want to touch it. I don't
And
know.
the
If it
thing,
has like weird tentacle things, I'm gonna think it's gonna like do something to me, like
yeah, it could
poison
zap
me
you.
or
Like, I don't know
something.
what's going on. But it bites him. And there's some pretty bad CGI here. You get
I don't
some
know. I kind of
90s.
like it. It pulls its own mouth open and bites him. I love it.
You get some 90s CGI here. I don't remember what the question. Casey asked a question. I just wrote, oh. He asks, where did it get teeth? And I was like, that's a weird question
Isn't
because you
it?
just found the thing. Like, you didn't know
You
how
didn't
would you
do.
have known if it has
They didn't
teeth or not?
open it up, but like it pulls its mouth out. So it's like weird that
Yeah.
they think that like oh it doesn't have teeth. Like
Yeah,
maybe
what a
it looked like
weird.
it was sealed and that's why it has to like rip its own like skin open.
There's a it reminds me, and I'll make this reference several times. There's this horrible skit that Hulk Hogan did in 90s wrestling at one point, and he's in this like mystical land. It's a very bad time for wrestling at this point. But
Well, you're talking about Hulk Hogan, so
he reaches his hand under some water, and he goes, "Ha! It's not hot." And it's like you just have to like we'll talk about it one day.
oh
But
man.
it's like, why would you think? Why would that be your first reaction? And so this is kind of that same thing where it's like, why it has teeth? Like it could.
Right,
Like
you don't know
I
anything
guess
about it yet. Like, where did it get teeth is a weird kind of way to phrase it. Like, he could have said, like, oh, it has teeth, but not, where did it get teeth?
yeah, very strange.
Or is it like a thing where, like, aquatic animals that are that size don't have teeth?
Don't have
Is
teeth,
that a
and like, why
thing?
would any of them know that? Yeah, I don't know.
Like a shrimp? I don't know.
So, Mr. Furlong says he's going to send it to the universities to see if they can figure out what to do with it. Um, we get to Stan quitting, and I guess Casey's in the locker room for some reason at the same time
Yeah, that
as
was
like
odd.
he must have had gym class or something. It's just a way for Stan and Casey to interact.
Right.
I also wrote down this because Usher calls Casey a pisswad
Yep.
and an anal
Anal
probe.
probe. Mm-hmm. Well,
Um,
the anal probe reference, I would imagine, is again aliens. So
oh yeah,
again, he's doing an alien
sure,
reference of some sort.
sure. We can go with that.
Well, an
And
anal
then
probe, that's what you say aliens
yeah,
do.
absolutely yes. But when we do our first episode of South Park, which is called Cartman Gets an Anal Probe,
Oh god.
we'll we'll discuss. But yes, I suppose so. So Stan takes a shower, and
Oh yeah, this part's kind of
again,
creepy. It's a little
uh,
weird and creepy and kind of
it's
gross.
creepy. Yeah, I wouldn't call it scary. It's kind of creepy.
No.
Again, he's taking a shower in this dirty ass high
And
school
they're all
shower.
like butt naked, like taking a shower in high
Well,
school.
he's the only one in the school
But it's one of those
I mean,
weird.
he's the only one in the shower.
I've never seen the showers where they're like, here's the pole that has the water and
Oh,
everybody just stands
you mean
around it.
you mean a prison shower?
It's gross. I never want to have to see that in real life.
Yeah, this is very very disturbing in my opinion. Like that they would have high school kids just kind of standing around. Like this is worse than the Super Troopers showers, where like at least there was like a little bit of like separation.
Right.
Like this is like here's a pole and there's four streams coming out of
Yep,
it. Like
and
you're
you all just
standing there
stand
like
right
you guys
next
could
to
be
each
holding
other.
hands around the pole.
So, anyways,
Uh, he's taking a shower, and you get another. Do you get another like first person cam kind of walking up to him? I
a little
can't
bit,
remember.
yes, because it goes right up to his face, and he's like, ugh.
And it turns out to be Mrs. Brummel, who's an old teacher that we see earlier. Uh, or she's a counselor. She's something. She's
Right.
got blisters on her feet, which
And
I
her
guess,
face,
yeah. And her face is kind of like doing like a peeling
like skin
thing.
peeling.
And she says that they want everyone, she whispers,
And
to
she
stand
can't
and
breathe.
yeah, she can't breathe, so she's like ripping her shirt off. And Casey runs in because like Stan is asking for help.
Right.
He like goes like, oh, it's gonna be okay. You know, he's trying to be like, I don't know what's going on, but like I'm trying
Right,
to
to help.
kind of help. And a piece of her scalp just falls
Oh,
off,
it was kind of
which is
gross.
pretty gross.
She looks like she's melting at that point. She's like coming apart.
Definitely, definitely.
And I would imagine the reason that she went in there was she was drawn to the water.
Yes, that has to be. Yeah, she's trying to find water.
Because she needs to breathe.
Because of what we find out earlier. Like it is
Aquatic. Water
yes,
based.
some sort of aquatic based alien that likes water, which is why all the water stuff is happening as the coach is drinking the water. So the next scene is Mrs. Olson is telling Casey and Stan that Brummel had cancer, and she gets confused because of the drugs, and that it could explain why the scalp was falling off, I guess. It's a pretty good cover up.
It is. It kind of works. I mean, you're saying she's sick, so
yeah, and then Casey, using his giant lens, sees the coach is just standing.
I love this. He's just standing in the middle of the field with the sprinklers going.
Which which is odd. And it shows the difference between when he was like pissed off the sprinklers were on earlier,
and now he's enjoying it.
So then we get a little bit of Zeke selling some more stuff to some no good nicks. He's selling bootleg VHSs, and then Miss Burke comes out and tells him like he shouldn't be doing this, that he could have made this up. He doesn't have to be here anymore, and he just kind of poo-poos it, and he asks her if she wants a chocolate. I don't know. He has so many flavored things, but he has chocolate flavored laxatives and cherry flavored condoms.
Well, people like things flavored. Gives it a little bit more spice.
So. I thought that this again shows that he's probably ripping people off. Like, I'm assuming neither of these products work.
Okay, they do have those things flavored though. That is a real thing.
I'm aware. It's gross, but I'm aware. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. So Casey and Delilah are in the faculty lounge because Delilah's looking for a story.
Oh yeah, that was the weird. That just seemed like to come out of nowhere. She's just like, I'm already looking for a story, and
I assume this is just something that they
forcing him to come with so that she can take the pictures.
Yeah, like why are you bringing? I guess for evidence.
I guess, yeah. Like, okay, you're gonna take the pictures of the things I find.
This is where Elijah Woods calls her a first-class grade A bitch, and I thought it was a very like he says
it was a bit weaselly. It was a bit weaselly.
Frodo cadence. It sounds like I could imagine Frodo calling Sam a first-class grade A bitch.
It's like, well, I mean, you could be cool, but you're just like a first-class grade A bitch, and it's just like, why are you saying it like that?
Like that's you know, this is when the ring's taking him over totally, and Sam's climbing back down the
he told Sam to go home.
He's a first-class grade A bitch. She implies that this is him hitting her?
What is this? Are you hitting on me? And I think she just wants him to, so I think that's why.
Yeah, because she doesn't discourage it. She kind of is into it a little bit. Like she's trying to figure it out.
Oh, okay. Maybe she's into the confidence that he's like exhuming from calling her that. Like, oh, you actually have the galls like to say that to me, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so she's into it.
Yes, she's into it. Because she has this like little smile on her face. Right. Like, but it is like I guess you can justify by like thinking like okay at some point in the previous like previous to the movie uh maybe he's like hinted like she's
Flirted.
confronting him on this at this
Yeah.
point, yeah, like I don't know. So anyway, uh Olsen and Coach walk in, and they run into the closet in the faculty lounge, which I guess there's a closet in the lounge. Sure, why not? That's where janitor
Supplies.
Donald Sutherland keeps. That's where he's got a lot of stake in the. I keep my old magazines in here. This is why I actually live in the faculty lounge.
Uh,
And so I laughed hysterically when they both get a cup of water and Olsen just chucks the water in her
she
face.
does. She really does. Like you'd like it would you'd miss it if you blinked because it was like, wait, what just happened? She literally just throws it in her face.
It's so great. Also, while in the closet, I don't know if you caught this, Rachel, but Casey's a little creepy here. He smells Delilah.
Yes.
Did you
No,
check
because then she
this?
turns and like smiles at him
She gives
about
him a
it.
little
Like, what is
smile.
that? You're okay
Oh
with him
yeah.
being a pervert? Like, come on.
But kind of knowing like the fact that she likes like power and stuff, like I
Ballsy
guess like
guys.
I could see like she likes the fact that like she's queen bee, so like maybe like but it is like yeah like this little smile because this
Like,
little creep is smelling you, but he is a little creep.
just a
um
little.
so they're talking alien stuff, and then
Oh, that's when we learned that, like,
Brummel
is too old
Brummel was
to
too
take it.
old, yeah.
It didn't
um
take to her.
and then the Selma Hayek walks in, and they kind of shut the door on her, and Robert Patrick is doing a good creepy job again,
Yep.
as is Piper Laurie. They're both acting creepy, and they kind of slam her up against the closet
Yep.
door,
And they
which
attack
kind of
her.
spooks. Yeah, and then they attack her, which the first time you see this movie, I'm sure like you're like, what the hell's about to happen? But
Right.
if you don't realize that they're aliens, if you're Delilah and Casey, like this can get
It's
really weird.
scary. Yeah.
Um, so, uh, you see how this works, how they kind of spread the alienness to them, and you get this thing comes out of Robert Patrick's mouth and goes into Selma Hayek's ear,
Yep.
which is pretty good. It's pretty creepy. It's kind of gross.
It gives the
Like
effect needed.
yeah, yeah.
There's even a little
Um,
blood.
but while this is happening, Delilah falls, and there's Miss Brummel. She like her body's in there,
Yep.
so then they kind of freak out, and Casey like kind of stifles Delilah so she doesn't say anything. And they realize that there's sound coming from the closet, so they go over there to the closet, and Casey and Delilah run out.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse grabs Delilah's leg, which is a good little like, okay, something's weird happening moment. But before Casey and Delilah can totally run out, the Principal Burke comes and is like, "What's going on?" And they're like,
But they're
the
doing it in such a
the
like a
nurse.
type of
Yeah,
way.
now Principal Drake she does kind of act a little weird about it. Kruger's there too for some reason, which acts more like Kruger from before, so maybe he hasn't been taken yet. I don't
Sure.
know. And then, Casey realizes like, okay, maybe they're all into it. I can't really tell. And he's just like, Delilah, run. And this is where
They
we realize
split.
that
Yeah.
Delilah's totally still out for herself
Right, because she's
because she just keeps running. Like Casey
yeah, Casey
slips because he's
slips
a dork,
and
and
she's gone.
Delilah just fucking keeps hauling
Right.
off. Like, does not care that Casey slips it off.
Exactly. So now, like, this is where, to me, it's kind of like one of those things where they're together and then all of a sudden now they're not anymore. It's very The Thing-ish. So now, like, uh-oh, like their partner is gone. So you don't know what's happening to either of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something could be happening.
Right.
So Casey does the smart thing here, which you don't necessarily always see in
No, you
movies like
never
this.
see. Like,
He tells his parents and or calls the cops.
right. I think he called the
Uh,
cops first and then probably told his parents.
I was trying to figure out what his parents do. So Shooter McGavin, Christopher McDonald is
Yep.
the dad. I haven't recognized the mom from something. Maybe the
I don't
mom is
know.
from something. Um, Somebody's shouting at us in the void right now.
Probably.
But I was like, they're kind of leading these police officers around. I was like, what did they do that like they're doing this investigation with the police officers?
Well, I just kind of
But
assumed that they're like, well, we need the kid's parents because he's a minor.
oh
So then
maybe,
it's like, okay, well, all of us will go to the school together, type of thing.
yeah, works for me. Works for
We're just
me.
gonna go with that.
Let's go with that. So they find out that like, oh, it was resuscitation Annie. It's just this like doll used to do CPR. Again, pretty good cover up
Right.
by by the aliens. They do a pretty good job of covering all this stuff out. And the coach says that Casey's fast because he can run fast. Again, foreshadowing the end of the movie. Um, and we cut. So this happens. Miss or Principal Drake more than likely gets one of the police officers takes over him.
Well, that's what happens in the
So
back room because then you can like you see his face like turn into like this like deer in the headlights
yeah, he
look.
kind of becomes stiff. Yeah,
They all have that
and
like stare into nothingness eyes when they first
and
turn.
Casey agrees to go to a therapist if they just get out of there. Which, I mean, I don't think that this is a I don't think that this is a Clay Jensen perks of being a wallflower type kid where like there's
I don't
something
think
else
so
wrong with him.
either.
I think it's just the parents because this is 1998 are like, well, maybe we should get you to a therapist. Like the
Like
first time that your son
immediately.
is like
Yes.
I'm a little weird. Like
Right.
I'm gonna need to go to a therapist. But he agrees like, oh, okay, like we'll talk about like we can talk about this later. Like we just need to get home. So they go home and immediately Shooter McGavin is like uh they're searching for drugs.
Right. Like, what do you want?
Which is a theme of the movie is drug use.
Right.
And so they think he's on drugs. He refuses to admit that he didn't see anything,
Right.
right?
Well, at least he's not backing
So
down.
yeah, he's not backing down. So they decide like to take everything away from him. So they take away. I don't know if I had the list of this because I was trying to see if I could figure out anything from the rest of his room, which not a lot of total in character stuff there. It looked like stuff that Robert Rodriguez would put up, but
Yeah. Well, he
he
might be a
has
computer nerd of some sort too, because he
he's a
has like a little
computer nerd of
robot and
some
stuff on his
sort.
desk.
What was that little robot thing? It's like this little connects bug
Yeah, it was
that
like a little
he
robot.
like sets to. It's like was that like a Ferris Bueller type thing where it's like I have to like start this so that it like they think I'm still
Well, I think
home.
he printed something off. I don't think he started it. I think it just started moving because it probably has like motion sensor or something. But he did print something from his computer.
And he's got so he
But
keeps saying
it
like
was no TV,
no TV, no
no
internet,
internet.
no
Which what did he rip
phone.
out? Because I don't even know what he ripped out. What he did
It's
that? Because I'm
a
like I don't even think he
because
ripped out the
well
internet.
for our younger listeners, it was the phone jack.
Oh, it was
Because
the
I'm
phone
assuming
jack.
he had like dial-up. Yeah, it's
Okay.
1998, so he ripped the. And I just love the idea that the dad is so mad that he just rips the phone
Right.
jack out. That's gonna cost him too.
And then it was the mom decided to be like,
The mom
it's
points out where his,
porno.
which
And I was like,
is
oh,
very
gross.
creepy. And there's these porno mags underneath. And what sets the dad off more than anything is he's like, just let me talk to Delilah. And we see that he's been creeping on Delilah even more so than, usual because he's got these pictures of Delilah,
Right.
just like random pictures of Delilah next to his bed, which is even
Yep.
creepier. Um, so there are all these things.
Well, there's a
And
good line here
then
too, when he does take the porno, he looks at him and goes, no more flogging the bishop.
Yeah, I got that too. Flogging the bishop, which I don't think caught on as much, but somebody wrote that line.
Yes, they
I'd
did.
like to think that Shooter McGavin came up with that.
He just riffed it right there.
Yeah.
He just said it.
So Casey tries to leave the house immediately. I assume he's gonna go try to go to
That's
Delilah's.
my assumption, is that he's trying to find Delilah.
Um, he falls off the roof, and the dad's immediately like, "What are you doing out here?"
Right.
But he falls off the roof
Because
because the faculty. He thinks he sees the faculty
the
there.
shadows of them, yep.
Yeah, which I'm assuming that they really were there.
No, I think they were really there. I think they followed them home.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, I guess but they should have access to like where the again, it's one of those situations where it's like, why didn't they do this? Why don't they just take everybody over?
Like
They could have done this
immediately, and they have to do
earlier.
it slowly because they can't be found out right away. And if an adult knows what's happening, then their whole
Yeah,
plan is
maybe we
foiled.
can be stopped. All right. I do love that Casey's dad has him like, "Oh, get back in the house." Gives him a get your big butt back in the
Right.
house. A Men in Black gives him a Men in Black,
Yeah.
and he's still holding porno, which I assumed meant
He
that he
was
was going
looking
to
at
look at it
it.
later.
Yeah, that'd be my
Uh,
assumption too.
so it fades to black again. So now we get there's a lot of slow-mo in this movie, like people walking past another person and it slow-mos in on them.
Oh well, this is the montage part, right? So it's the next day, and his dad forces him to go to school even though he doesn't want to, and he's walking in, and they start to montage stuff. There's the principal calling names on the intercom to have them come to the principal's office. You see
Hmm.
them in lines in different areas, and they're just like, "What's happening?" Students are just kind of like saying something weird's going down this whole day. All of them are just saying something weird's going down at the school.
Yeah, that is a repeated line. And so we're in with Casey, and Delilah grabs him and pulls him into our gross bathroom again. She,
Incognito Delilah.
she's pulling a reverse. She's all that because she's got the ponytail and glasses on.
Yep.
Casey immediately thinks that like she doesn't look. It's Jordana Brewster. She looks no
No
different than
different.
usual, but she's got her hair in a ponytail and glasses on.
Yep.
Um, there
And
was
kind of
one
frumpy
person.
clothes, I guess. She's not wearing like her
I guess she's
usual.
wearing some. Yeah, she's not wearing like her usual shtick. One thing about this movie, apparently, and it's in the credits too, is that there's this Tommy Hilfiger endorsement. So like all of the clothes are Tommy Hilfiger,
Oh. Okay, I
and
didn't notice that.
well, apparently there's a thing online where you can watch it and like an ad on YouTube of the cast like doing a Tommy Hilfiger ad or
Oh
like a
my
Tommy
god.
Hilfiger promo. So I'm assuming everything that they're wearing is Tommy Hilfiger.
Probably.
Just to get you back to the 90s even more. So yes, Incognito Delilah. And Casey is trying to figure out, are they like a cult, a devil cult, or something? We don't know what this is. We don't know what anything is going on. So she decides she's gonna try to find Stan. Don't know why Stan. I
Yep.
agree with Casey. Like why Stan?
Why Stan? What does he have
Uh,
to offer?
so then there is some of these like we're just getting some stuff. We're getting some more things. We're in a classroom with Mary Beth and Stokes and Stan. And this is where we find out that maybe Stokes has a crush on Stan.
Hmm.
Mary Beth pushes her into Stan to kind of get them talking. Um, I wrote Stan wants that D. Um,
Are you sure Stan or Stokes?
well, maybe that's a hell of an idea. Maybe both of them.
Oh, that would see
He
now that
wants to
would be a reversal. He's actually gay.
Oh no, there you go. I would have enjoyed
That
that.
would have been fine
But
too.
maybe
Anyways,
I don't know who he would get with, but somebody. But
Elijah
yeah,
Wood.
he. Oh yeah, yes. If at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, it was well, it was Stan walking up to Elijah Wood and giving him the
The dip
the
kiss.
magazine. Yeah, so we have seen. Oh, and then Kruger comes in and slams a textbook down.
Right.
And we've learned from earlier that Kruger does not give a shit
Right.
about teaching, which I really love
Yep.
because it fits in with Kruger. And he's like, "Okay, class." Like, and as we discussed, I could not do this task if it were assigned to
Oh
me.
God,
And
no.
it's the same people for both of us. Like we would have to like maybe the two of us together could do this,
Probably.
but alone writing down every member of my family
Your
and
immediate
like doing a
family,
family
and then
tree,
yeah,
couldn't do it. Can't do it.
there's a lot of that would be a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. I can't even like we don't see them enough. The littler kids, they don't know what our names are at all.
No.
Like there's a lot of would not be able to happen. Um, but anyway, I was trying to figure out what part of the plan this is for
Well,
the
it is kind of weird because it's like, okay, so you're asking for their family, but you're also turning the kids. So are they like forgetting all of their family members and where they live when they turn?
I guess
Because wouldn't
maybe
you
it's a
have
way.
some of the remember like
No,
some of
that's
the memories?
maybe your age, maybe because maybe that's a way for them to try to track what towns they've gotten, like
Okay.
where are we going? I don't know. It was a weird assignment, but anyway, I would have failed that test, and because I could probably get the uncles, the aunts,
That's
the
probably enough for
cousins.
now.
That's enough. Yeah, he just grabs the paper. He's like, "That's
That's
enough. You're
enough.
fine.
That
That's
A,
an
and
it's
then
an
move
A."
on.
So then we get some Zeke and Mary Beth flirting.
Mm-hmm. He needs
Zeke
supplies.
is. I wrote down that Zeke is a bad flirter because Mary Beth is asking what's the scat, and he's like, it's med. I'm gonna try to do Josh Hartnett because I have to for later on. It's magic dust. You want some? And she says that she's
She like
allergic.
freaks out a little bit before when he
She
asks her
backs
about it.
up.
But yeah,
Like,
and
yeah.
like it's like, oh no, I'm allergic. I'm allergic. Like I'm allergic
Yeah.
to aspirin, so most likely whatever you're giving me is going to kill me, type of thing.
And I do like this. They do kind of a thing where like they're all in the hallways now. A lot of hallway talk, which is true. That's
It
what
makes
happens in high
sense.
school.
Yes.
There's hallway talk, and so Delilah and Casey come running by, and Delilah grabs Stan and says, "I need to talk to you," and Casey tells Stokes that he wants to run something by her.
Right.
I feel like this
Like-
kind of how he phrases it. Um,
Like I need your
And
help with
then-
something.
so Mary Beth is explaining her backstory to Zeke, which like she tells him, I think she tells him like a car accident.
Yeah, her parents are
Her
dead.
parents died in a car accident, so now she's living with her cousins.
Yeah.
We passed by that angry couple that was fighting earlier that you mentioned,
But now
and now
it's like half of it. So he's like
yeah,
sitting there
she's
laid
trying
back.
to fight, and he's sitting there not doing anything.
And then she's just like, yeah, going at him and yelling at him and hitting him, and he's just kind of staring blankly.
And Zeke kind of says like, "Isn't there something like weird going on?" And she's like, "Y'all seem weird to me. I'm from the South." Or
Right.
whatever.
Yep,
So-
she does her Southern Belle thing.
When we find out what is happening later on, I am trying to figure out where Mary Beth learned this like whole Southern Belle. Like, is it
I'd
a
imagine
Futurama situation where like they're getting TV, but they're only getting like
certain
Mama's
channels.
Family or
That's kind of what I
something?
was thinking, and that's how she learned it. It's she's just like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do here.
Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly what TV like she's just getting like Beverly Hillbillies or something.
Right.
Like, you
It's
know,
the old stuff.
so Zeke's outside, and those two drug addicts, the guy from that '70s show comes back, and they ask for more stuff, And he's like, well, yeah, of course, this is my good stuff. And he gets suspicious because they keep asking if he's got more and more.
Right, like really hard junkies. Like they
Yeah,
need it badly, so they're like, "Oh, we need more." And like, "Oh, we're going to want more than that. Like give us all of your stuff."
so he immediately like
Hides
is like,
some.
oh, like I don't have any more, which he does. Like they show him like a
Right.
little bit of he's like hiding it in his pocket.
Mhm.
So while they're talking about this, um, he Miss Burke comes
Yep,
back.
Miss Burke. Now here's the she's all that Miss Burke.
She's all thatted, and she is in her um she's in her like yeah her Jean Grey looking.
Well, she's got the red shirt on, hair down, glasses off.
Yeah, she looks like Jean Grey.
Yes.
Which I think she plays yeah like 2 years after this. I hope that this is the role that got her Jean Grey. Uh,
Oh, we see her in the second half of the faculty. We must have her as Jean Grey.
but she comes up and she like immediately she says she's been taking his shit for too fucking long, and
Right, she like goes
really
like ham on him, and the other guy's just like. I thought it was stupid when he goes like "ooh burn," and I'm like, seriously?
yeah he's trying to play it cool, but I think it does get to him a little bit because like she's like, oh, well, how would I even be able to call your mom? Where is your mom?
Yeah, she kind of really jabs at him now.
Yeah. Um, so this is contrary to your thought, Rachel, where they don't really remember a lot unless she already asked somebody, what is your,
Like she went and looked at his file.
yeah, looked him up because she's like, oh, is she in Sri Lanka? Like,
Sure.
because it's like, you know,
But maybe,
a very
yeah,
absentee.
yeah. But she does have that passion again. She probably did something she's been wanting to do for a while. Is called to like tell him off.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. So now we're in the library. Uh,
Yes, this is Stokes and Casey. This is where we become aware that it's like actually a self-aware movie. Because
yeah, there's very meta looking or very meta things in this where basically Stokely is basically like, oh, this is like an invasion of the body
and she
snatchers
said like we're the pod
situation.
people type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Casey's trying to convince her that it could be real,
Right.
and then all of this they were onto something, and all of this is really fiction. This is where you get your Kevin Williamson, your '90s high school horror, your Scream stuff, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's happening to us for real, and,
Right.
you know, I've got writings that are like that,
Well,
or hope to have writings like that. So
yeah. Well, that's
I can't
my
totally disparage it. It does date it though. It's something that was going on at the time.
right. But I mean, at the same time, I'm what I'm thinking is that it just makes the movie more self-aware because they're saying, hey, this stuff actually exists in this world. So they actually could be like, this seems familiar. It sounds like this book, this science fiction stuff, like. This is what I have a problem with zombie movies half the time is when if you watch those, they are not self-aware. Zombies do not exist in those worlds. So one, they're not ever called zombies, which is probably like a take on the original, but at the same time, they don't exist. So they're like always stupid about it, and I feel like this idea where like the characters have a reference makes it a bit more interesting. Because then they have to go to that
Well,
person who knows about it.
I read old reviews where they said they didn't like the fact that the kids make the assumptions based on what they've seen in the movies, and then all that stuff turns out to be true, and they didn't like that. Where I guess you could go one of two ways on it. The point that this movie is trying to make, or the point that Casey is trying to make, and then it ends up being true about in this world, is that they kind of maybe they're it's subliminal messaging, like this is how it would work if we were invaded, like you need to do these things to stop an invasion,
So
like, maybe
people
an
aren't
invasion
as like
happened.
weirded out about the thought of an alien.
Right, as opposed to like Return of the Living Dead, which add that to the list, where if we needed to stop the head, and then in that movie stopping the head doesn't actually stop the zombies, so it's a little different
Right.
Take on it, where in this, like, it is everything that they assume should work does. Um, but they dropped Spielberg, Lucas. And the next name, definitely a sign of the times. Barry Steinfeld, which
Mm-hmm.
was Men in Black,
Yep.
and Emmerich,
Mm-hmm.
which he's a hack now, and he was a hack then. But Independence Day is the reference there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, add all of those to the list.
And she
But
talks about Invasions of the Body Snatchers, the book, and
yeah,
the Puppet
and
Master,
Puppet Masters, which I think is the
which
first.
was the first one before
It's what
the other
Invasion
one
of the Body
was. Yep.
Snatchers is based on. Which I guess you kind of get the whole idea too, like, oh, all of this stuff is based on everything. Invasion of the Body. This is where the movie tries to have its cake and eat it too by saying like, well, Invasions of the Body Snatchers was just a ripoff of Puppet Master.
Yeah.
So like we're like, yeah, we get it. Like we are ripping off Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but that was
But
a
remember, that
ripoff
was also a
too.
ripoff.
Yeah. Now we get our whole. I wrote down why is Delilah so mean. I don't know why I wrote that down, but she must have said, "Oh, she's an ass to
Well,
Stokely again,"
she
because
is. She does. She's like, well, she's just a sci-fi freak or something like
oh yeah,
that.
she
And it's
was
like,
yeah.
really? But at the
Oh no,
same
what it is they
time,
all meet up in the biology room, and Casey's like, "I think Stokely might be on something,"
yeah,
and Delilah's like, "Is she?" Like she
yeah,
can't let anything go.
no.
So they're in the biology room. They're trying to get Stan filled in
Oh,
that
and the creature is gone.
yes, the creature's gone, and they're trying to convince Stan, or they're just filling Stan in that this is happening.
Right. Because he seems a
In
little
the
bit more oblivious. He believed the lie about the cancerous teacher, and he just
Yeah,
kind of
which I
goes with
mean
it.
I get. He's an idiot,
He's
and
just a little bit more oblivious. He's a goofy
and
kind of guy.
as this is happening, Zeke and Mary Beth are in the supply closet, the biology room supply closet, I guess.
Yep.
And Zeke is gathering supplies to make more drugs or whatever he's
Scat.
doing. And he is apparently good enough to get Mary Beth to kiss him,
Yep.
which again I guess is an implication that like she's trying to
Understand the.
understand them or get them to kind of like go in with it, like, hey man, like, you're kind of an outcast. Like she wants them to come willingly. I feel like she wants
Oh,
this
yeah.
group of people to
Well,
come
because think
willingly.
about it. Instead of being these angry people, I'm gonna make you feel like blissful. Because every person
Yeah,
that stops being angry is taken over. That's what we're
right, right.
seeing, and they just seem
But
more like at ease.
But the only other note about this is she kisses a smoker, which is gross. And I also thought that that maybe that could have dried her out. I don't know, but they overhear it coming from the biology room. So Zeke's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a smart ass." Goes in the room and like scares, like does like another jump scare. I really thought that we were gonna get a scream, like from the score, but we don't. We just get him like shouting.
Yeah.
Um, so then he does that, Casey, the only person that's an alien here is you, man. So Mr. Furlong comes in and is like, shouldn't you people be in class? What's going on here?
And they
And
immediately
this is
say,
where,
"We think you're an alien." Well, at least Zeke says they think you're an alien.
yeah, yeah, they think you're an alien. All right, so Mr. Furlong comes in and they're like, oh, it's like this, Mr. Furlong, he thinks you're an alien.
Right.
And Mr. Furlong like immediately turns
And is like being
and
weird and yeah. And there's a fight scene.
there is a fight scene. So Mr. Furlong kind of spills the grapes and is like, everybody just sit down, and like grabs Zeke by the arm
Right.
and like throws Zeke down. Um, and then they do this like Zeke grabs the paper chopper.
Oh
I called
yeah.
it the guillotine. I don't know what
It
that
pretty
would be
might it
called.
might as well be. But he like rips the knife the sharp edge off of the paper cutter.
And he slices Furlong's fingers off,
Yep.
which is pretty great. And so by cutting his fingers off, the tentacle stuff comes
Which I
out.
think it's trying to heal itself.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
Although he's trying to use the tentacles a little bit to like grab
That too. Yeah.
Zeke. He throws Zeke. Oh no! First, people are getting tossed here and there. The fingers are coming after Mary Beth and
Yes.
Delilah. and Mary Beth kind of shoves Delilah back, which is where I think something happens. But um, we see that happen, and then Zeke trying to think quick because you know, Furlong's mouth is opening up to put the parasite in. Stab. The only thing he has on him is a pen with the scat in it, and he stabs him in the eye with the pen,
Which
which is
was
what he said
foreshadowed.
later. Yeah, in a very poor foreshadow, but it was foreshadowed. Um, and then Mr. Furlong, in like a fit of like shit, throws Zeke into the aquarium
Yep.
and busts the aquarium.
I think they just wanted that to happen.
Yeah, there's just some good action, some slow-mo like aquarium being destroyed. And before, so Furlong like kind of tips backward. He kind of like goes all
Yeah,
like
like he's bubbling.
yeah, and they look at him and he's dead. Because I also wrote there was a really nice toss between Stan and Zeke.
Yeah.
He like catches the
Oh,
guillotine.
yeah. Yep. It's all that teamwork now coming together. They're coming together as like a group.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to work
they're-
together.
We have our heroes now. So then Casey grabs the thing that Furlong spit up that he was trying to put into the
Which
to put
again,
into
yeah.
Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
And they all decide like, okay, just follow each other. We're gonna get out of here because they now realize like aliens are taking over. This is real. I hate the line, let's get the fuck out of here.
Well, no, it's not just let's get the fuck out of here. It's like, I think this is the point where someone says, let's get the fuck out of here, and then Stan says, let's get the fuck out of here. It's very like, oh, this is the part of the movie that we should say this. It's a little too aware. It's a little too goofy.
It's a little too much.
So then,
They leave. They don't even close the door, which like lock that door or something. Like
I don't think it
somebody's
matters.
immediately gonna see that. And then
But this is the parallel now. So now they're walking through the school, and they're walking out.
And they're walking to Zeke's car, which I assume somebody like Zeke has their car parked at like the edge of the grounds.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm assuming it takes them a while to get there too. This is where I thought that they were trying to do an homage to Body
I
Snatchers
agree.
again.
I agree. I wrote this
Because
down.
there is a scene in Body Snatchers where they walk through the streets of San Francisco.
Yeah, she's walking through the streets, and she's like, looks around paranoid.
Right, and they're all paranoid as to who could be an alien already.
Exactly.
So I think that was I think it's definitely they're trying to do that in that. So they hop in Zeke's car. They spin out. There's a police stopping like point
right.
at some point, and they like skid around. I don't know how they get past that. Again, it's like another one where it's like, is Mary Beth kind of letting them go?
Oh, like
is she
hive minding?
Yeah, like giving them signals to like not to attack because maybe she's trying to figure out how this happened to Furlong.
Oh, that could be it
Like-
too.
like,
Well, they had an
because-
idea of it before because they were trying to steal all of his stuff before.
That's correct. Yeah, that's true.
So I
That's true.
wonder.
So,
If,
yeah,
I
maybe-
wonder because they had the weirdos probably got turned. I wonder if they had it in their pocket and they got like burned by it.
Mm,
And so they're like,
mhm.
oh, this is something we want to like experiment with. So now we need
Want
to
to
get
avoid.
more of it. So where did this come from type of thing. So
Yeah.
maybe she is still trying to
which
find
would
out
explain why
how
she
is he
buttered
putting
up a
this
little
together.
bit.
What is this? Yeah,
Yeah.
type of thing.
So they end up back at Zeke's house.
Yep.
Oh, a couple things that I missed there. Stokes calls Delilah tit bags.
Oh, another great one. Yes, she does call him her tipped bags. It's great.
So yes, that was there as well. Which I don't know what that means. Like, isn't that just a boob?
I mean,
But-
yes. I don't know. It just sounds like a great insult at the same time to me. You just call someone tit bags and then you just move on.
So I thought that there was like they pull into Zeke's parents' house, and at first I thought there was a plane in the back, like because he has like his own like he has like a big shed back there where he does all of
Yes.
his science experiments. But I was like, is that a plane? I think it was a boat. But I get the point is like clearly like they spend all their money on like doing like these extravagant things and
Right.
they just like leave him alone.
Exactly.
This is where we find out that his secret ingredient are these caffeine tablets.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Beth points it out like, is this your secret ingredient? And he's like, you didn't see that. Because all he's doing is basically getting people high off of caffeine.
Right. It's just making them like wired. And he said there's other
Um,
stuff in it, but it's mainly just
yeah,
the
but
caffeine.
he says like it becomes a diuretic.
Yeah.
Um, so it becomes a diuretic. It dries you out, like you would if you had caffeine without,
Yeah, the
the way
coffee
that
coffee
coffee
makes you
works.
thirsty. You have
Right,
to
it
you
makes you
have to drink
poo
some water.
and makes you poo. It
But
dries you out.
I don't know if poop is necessarily a part of the body snatchers though at the same time.
It should be. Well, it should be. Um, Great line here. So they have Zeke because again he's a genius, doing a uh
Experiment on his
yeah, like an
rat.
autopsy.
Well,
He
at first
starts with
he
an autopsy on the cicada itself,
yes.
and um, this is where there's a great line where he goes, "It's called a gun, man," where because he's got like a
Oh
gun
yeah,
on
because they
his
see the
table,
gun on the table.
and they kind of freak out. Or Casey does. But then they sit there. Zeke does all this autopsy. He kills poor Oscar the rat.
Oh, that was sad. I didn't like, and it was weird because I'm like, what did he do? Just like smash his head with his hand? Because he put one
I
hand in the
I was trying to
cage,
figure that out
and
too.
you like,
He
did you like break his neck with one hand?
Yeah, he does like a Bruce Lee like neck break to this little
Ridiculous.
mouse.
It's sad.
I don't know how he does it, but like you hear like a crunch too. So like that's what they're implying that he somehow did this.
It's
I don't
depressing.
know how it worked, but he figured it out. Hey, he figured it out.
Yep.
Um, so he this is where he realizes like yeah, it's a
It's a
diuretic
parasite.
and it's a parasite and this is how a parasite works. This is where they try to they decide that if it has a host, you should be able to stop it. Um, and they determine somehow that it's a hive mind. I guess they just assume that it's a hive mind. They don't really know that it's a
No,
hive
they
mind.
don't. Yeah, they don't really. I don't know how they come up with that one because I find it odd that they think it's a hive mind anyways, or that like they're all connected like that. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's because of the puppet master. That's why she's saying that that's what it is because it is like a parasite, and that's what it was
Hmm.
in the puppet master. But I don't know. It makes me think vampires whenever they say that, like kill the head
Yeah,
vampire,
kill the
and then
head vamp.
and
It
it
is.
kills
It's
all the
right.
other
Kill the head
vampires.
vampire.
But
Yeah, because Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I wouldn't say that was like
no, that wasn't even a
there was no
thought.
hive mind. Yeah.
No. No, because they had to scream to each other in order to let the other one know what's happening.
Yeah. So this is where we get the thing. This is very clearly the thing scene.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, it is.
Instead of testing each other's blood to see if it
Well,
sparks.
right. And the new one, so it was the blood in the old one, and in the new one, it was inorganic material. They can't create inorganic materials, so they were looking at fillings in their teeth.
Oh, okay, okay.
And like or
Or
anything
belly
like
buttons or
that like
whatever.
might not be real on them type of
Okay.
thing. Sorry, I
So
knew that. We watched
in
it.
I know that. I had to fill that in. In the faculty, it's you have to snort this
And
gas.
why it's snorting is my question. Why they couldn't like just put it on their tongue or touch it? It's like no, snort it up your nose.
Well, I guess because at this point they only know that the equivalent is you need to jab it into your eye. So I don't think that they want to do that.
I think I still
Um,
would have been like, let me just put some on my tongue. Like,
but they're all accusing each other of like potentially being it, so that
oh,
they decide to come up with
yes,
this.
but this is weird to me. Okay, all the other ones make sense. They're all acting funky, and then Delilah turns to Casey and says, "And why? When did you become Sigourney Weaver?" And then that's it. And he's like, "What?" And that's it. Like, why is she calling him Sigourney Weaver? Unless it's just to like call out Alien in this one.
yeah, I don't know because Sigourney Weaver doesn't like know everything that's going on in Alien.
I
I
guess it's because
guess
she takes charge, so that's why. But it was just so weird because she just was,
yeah,
and
I
you're
guess because
becoming
he takes
Sigourney Weaver, and I'm
charge.
like, okay.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not quite sure why the Sigourney Weaver reference. So they decide to take the test, and this is where we get again some
Oh my god,
classic lines. So at
ridiculousness.
first, uh, meanwhile, a car pulls up. I must assume it to attack them or something. I don't know who called this car, but we get to that in a minute. Um, so Zeke is like, Casey, you first. So this is, it's your birthright, man. Just fucking take it, which is a line that we used to repeat in high school. I don't get it. So Casey snorts it, and then and Stan makes
Zeke do it,
Zeke
even
do
though Zeke
it,
doesn't
and
want to take his own stash, type of thing.
oh, but before he does, Casey starts giggling and tweaking out.
He does this Elijah Wood giggles, and
It's a
oh my
very creepy Elijah
god.
Wood giggle. And so then another great line is Zeke saying, "He's tweaking. Let him fucking tweak," which
It's
is
amazing. I love
been
it.
repeated by me back in the day a
Yep.
lot. So they take it one by one, and some of them are tweaking. Um,
Yes, Stan and Casey tweak like hardcore. Giggles, fits,
yeah,
and everything.
and it's a nice little scene because it's a classic scene, but it's just a bunch of idiots getting high,
Yep.
and it raises the stakes a bit because and I saw some people who were saying like, well, it's like pro drug movie, like that's bold, and it's like I don't know if it's
Actually,
pro
all of them
drug
were
movie,
saying they don't want to do it. Every one
right?
of them was
It's
saying no to drugs at this point, but they had to do
well,
it
and
because of what's happening. Because
they need
okay, so like
to
when Stokes has to take it, he says remember what's happening. Like I know
yeah,
you don't
he
want to
said
do
like
it.
weigh
That's
your
way you're
options or
out. Like
something like
yeah, it was
that.
like kind
Yeah,
of like okay, look, this is what's happening. We kind of need to do this. You know, it's just
right.
like a necessary evil type of thing
Which I guess there's probably some essay that you could write about like the need to
to
you
try
know
something and
the
change,
need to try the drugs to
experience
be
it
to
type of
show that
thing.
you're human or something. I don't know. I will say I am as teetotaler as they get as they come, so I
I don't
can't
do drugs
imagine,
either.
you know, but it is just a yeah, so that will differentiate us from most of your podcast listening.
Yeah.
But um
But they each were reacting differently. So I mean, you had Stan and Casey giggle fitting, and then you had Stokes, who
Stokes
kind of
was
had like she was kind of
uncomfortable. Yeah,
like
she
her
looked
fingers were
uncomfortable.
like melting or something type of thing.
Even Zeke, you can tell doesn't like it. Like it's like a
Yeah, he doesn't like
unnatural.
doing it, and he kind of giggled a couple times, but it was just one of those like I don't
Well,
do
the
this
part that cracks him
myself.
is so there he's like you both go both. He wants Delilah to take it. Delilah won't do it. She wants
Mary Beth to
Mary
take it.
Beth to take it, and he starts laughing because he's like, "This is insane!" Like he
Yeah,
can't
yeah, and
not
they're
laugh
just
at how big
laughing
of a
about
bitch
it.
Delilah is. Um,
So they make them do it at the
so
same time.
they both do it at the same time, but as we find out, Delilah, the second that it touches Delilah's nose, she freaks out because she turns out she's an alien. And I say it raises the stakes here because now they're all high.
Right.
I don't know how long this thing lasts. Probably not long. It's probably like huff and
Well, since
paint.
it's like caffeine pills, I would imagine
Yeah,
it's
like I
not
can't
that
imagine
long.
that it takes
Drink
that
some
it really
water. Maybe
helps.
it'll help get rid of it. Like,
But still, like now they have to try to save the world while high,
yep.
and now Delilah. I'm curious to know when you think Delilah was turned because there's a moment where she's either trying to trick Casey and Stan or not because Casey has the gun and Zeke's like shoot her.
Right.
Casey hesitates and she turns to Stan and goes, Stan, I don't know what's happening, and like says it in like her normal voice.
Right.
And then she turns back and goes like, there's nowhere to hide, and
Yep.
there's like stuff like
Crawling through
the
her
parasites are like
skin.
crawling through her, and eventually Stokes, because she hates Delilah, is like, I'll fucking shoot her. But before, and she like takes a shot, but Delilah destroys the
And gets
science
out.
stuff,
Yeah.
barrels through the wall,
Yep.
which is hilarious, and then and runs off to that car that was apparently waiting for her. I think Delilah was turned, or at least the parasite was put in her during the fight scene with Furlong.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which would almost make it that she was manipulating Stan and Casey by saying, I don't know what's happening, because she would have been
I
turned
think she
by
was
now.
manipulating them so she wouldn't shoot. They wouldn't shoot
Okay,
her.
because otherwise that means that somehow Mary Beth...
I thought she was even earlier. I thought she was changed the night before when the faculty was outside of Casey's house. I think they went to Delilah's afterwards.
And did it to Delilah.
And did it to Delilah.
And was able to do it to Delilah
Yeah.
because her mom's a drunk.
And they could get past the parrot.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess either one is possible.
Because we're both saying it's definitely before this
I think it's definitely before this scene. It could have been either way. I guess it just depends on when you want her to have changed.
Sure.
So it depends. But and in any event, now they're down a Delilah. They don't have the equipment to make the drugs, so whatever Zeke has,
yep,
that's the weaponry they have.
One thing I noted, because I was when I was watching this, is they ran out after Delilah, and Mary Beth didn't immediately run out, and at the end of the scene, she comes out and is just giggling, and I'm like, okay.
Well, she's clearly
faking it, obviously.
Well, yeah.
We know that now, but it was just like yeah, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to act high. Like...
Right. And why would she be giggling, right? Because all the rest of them
she didn't run out. They all immediately just, like, snapped and went right out after her.
Mm-hmm.
And she just didn't.
So they've come up with, at this point, that they have to find a queen. And...
they think it's the principal.
They think it's the principal. They think it makes sense that it's Principal Drake.
Because she's like the head of all of the faculty.
According to the trivia, I didn't hear this, but Mary Beth is the first one to refer to them as a queen.
Oh.
Which I didn't catch.
I didn't catch that either.
So they go, because it's Friday night, so they go to... But they end up going to the football game, and... It is packed, and everyone's really into it. And I thought this was hard to tell. Oh, you think it's Homecoming?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, like, is this supposed to be... Because they're all aliens. Was this supposed to be, like, they're all conforming because they're, like, all into this football game? But we hear before that they're all into, like, it's a football town.
So I think it's more so a lot of the students have been changed, right? And we know that the football team has been changed. So, and you can see from this whole scene that they're changing the players from the other team into aliens. And I think there's people from the town there. I think their family is there. I think there's like people from the other town are there. So I think this is just a great place for them to snatch other people and turn them. Because it's just a large group of people that they could just start like...
So they're all
spitting out
there.
Aliens. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And we get a few, like, scattered little scenes. This is where we get our Pink Floyd The Wall cover. And there's some, like, scattered scenes where you see, like, football being played. It's some pretty bad football being played. I think...
Well, I think they're fouling on... I think they're, like, hitting each other too hard on purpose.
Usher clotheslines a kid,
yes.
And the kid's, like, convulsing on the ground. And they put him on his shoulders. Like, it's a lot of ridiculousness.
Right.
So all of this stuff is happening, and clearly they do not care about the logistics. Football, I wrote down, watching this during a pandemic, the crowd scenes always get me now. It's like whenever you see somebody on TV or something, like, shake hands, and I'm like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So they go and they decide they're going to hold up in the gym,
Yep.
which looks like there was like a pep rally or something
Right,
beforehand.
which makes me think definitely Homecoming,
Hmm.
because like pep rally and then
Some
the
sort of, yeah.
game.
And although I think that we would have heard Homecoming earlier in the
I
movie,
thought that is what was happening. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just assuming. But I thought that's why it was bigger too.
it's
So.
definitely like their rival because they say like it's the only team that can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're held up in the gym, and Principal Drake comes to them
Right.
because she must realize that they're kind of onto her or onto them, and so before Drake can do anything, they kept catch her in a volleyball net.
Yep.
So they've got her like all tied up in a volleyball net, and they tell her to sniff the scat,
But she
and
refuses.
she refuses.
But she's
She
acting
refuses.
like all upset and like, what is happening? And oh my
Yeah.
god, what are you doing? And
Well, then the thing that again, Casey hesitates again for the second time. He hesitates
yes.
because she asks him, "Are you on drugs?" And so he hesitates again to shoot her in the head, and so Zeke just takes the gun and just shoots
Boom.
her in the
Oh,
middle of
it
the
was
head.
great.
Which I guess if you're Zeke, like I guess you don't care
Well,
whether or not you
it's
just
one of
shot somebody.
those like moments where you just have to do it. And he's that guy who will just do it and like get it done. He gets shit done.
And again, this is very Frodo of Casey. He can't pull the trigger. He's just a coward.
Right.
Um, because Samwise was the one that becomes not a coward. Frodo
He carries
Frodo
Frodo.
is just the
Yes.
only one that he can just take it. He can take the
Yeah, he
punishment.
has to take the punishment of the ring and everything that
Yeah,
happens with it,
as
and
long
Sam
as he
carries
can.
him to the top
Yeah.
of the mountain.
So now she gets back up and they toss Mary Beth tosses some of the scat on her and she wiggles out again and
Yeah.
dries up. And then Mary Beth drops the rest of the container on her, making it appear as though it's like
I'm just
a
making
reaction
sure.
of like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
look at. Of course, what we really find out is she's trying to get rid of as much of it as she can. And all I put was that thing has to smell now. Like that, there's like this like
Oh yeah, like an
dried
odor
up
must
like
come off of
husk
it.
of a corpse.
Oh, now I
Like
just
that
like
has
imagining
to smell.
fish, because it's just got to be like a fishy smell. Oh, and a corpse smell. Ugh.
Yes, a very dry, fishy smell. For some reason, Stan is like, I'm gonna go try to find Coach to see if it worked. So, because they don't, how else are they gonna find out if it works? They have to go up to
And
somebody
find
that they
another
know
faculty
is an
member.
alien. And before Stan goes, he kisses Stokes, or Stokes
Stokes
grabs
kiss
him.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he leaves, and Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett give her like a little like, oh, you
Right.
have a boyfriend.
Like, who you like him? Yeah, they have that kind of a
Um,
moment happening.
which I thought was kind of interesting is Mary Beth stands there as this is happening, and she says she doesn't like this place. And I wondered if that was the alien kind of saying
Oh.
like she picked the wrong, like
She's
she
worried
shouldn't
she
have
picked
picked
the
this
wrong
place. She
place.
picked the wrong place. So Stan comes back. He wants to be let in. They tell him we'll take the drug, take
Well,
the
no,
test.
you missed it. So no, he goes and he sees the coach and the team, and they all have their mouths open to the sky as it's raining, and you
Right.
can see
And
the tentacles
they
and
got
like stuff on
coming
their
out of
faces.
them. Yeah, they're being weird.
And then
Yeah.
he comes back. So,
And then he
anyways,
comes back. And
and
decides
he's trying to tell Stokes, no, let me in, because he's trying to
he's
go
trying to
after her
manipulate her.
emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. But he dumps out the pen.
Yep.
So now he's turned. And they basically tell him like I love it. Casey goes, "Go away, Stan."
Right. Yeah.
Which he does. He listens. Yeah, so I'm assuming, so what we see next is they decide like, well, we need to get more scat because there's nothing left. We don't have any left. We need this if we have to figure out who the queen is to attempt to do this.
Yep.
And we need to go get the whatever he has left,
Right.
and all he has left is stuff in his car. So there, Casey and Zeke go out to get the stuff in the car. This is where I assume they're like, we know that it's just these four left.
Right.
We're just gonna patrol to try to find them.
Right. Yeah.
So they just have like the football team on patrol. They like go like hide under a bus for a second because the football team is like patrolling trying to find the four of them, or maybe they're just waiting them out to like wait for them to come out of the
because that's where they were. They were around the buses, and so I think that's where Stan went to go get them, and now they're like heading back, type of thing, to the school entrance where he was originally. So yeah, I think they are staking out like the place, like waiting to see if they'll come out. But I think that's also kind of like where they were heading, anyways.
Mm. So it turns out that Casey is a decoy per Zeke's instructions. Again, this is where I said, well, then now he is just Frodo. Although I guess
Frodo was not the decoy. Everybody else was the decoy
for Frodo.
Right.
So there you go. So he gets to not be the decoy. And Casey, because we know he's quick, he jumps onto a bus. This is where I think this had to be like, very zombie-esque or something, because they're all like pounding
around
on
it,
the bus.
yeah.
And for some reason, Delilah is hiding on this school bus.
Did she like walk on, or was she hiding?
I don't know. I don't know how she got there. The movie magic. The movie at this point, if you're watching it and you're not doing what we're doing, which is breaking everything down bit by bit, you don't really think about it. Like when we watched this and we showed your husband the movie, I didn't think about it. I don't think he questioned it. But like watching back and like taking notes on it, you're like, why is Delilah just on this bus?
I guess it brings back the hive mind thing again, because maybe because of
oh yeah, like
Mary Beth,
there.
they knew that was happening, and so she went because she saw him go on the bus or something. So like that's my only explanation for that, where it's not just movie magic.
But Delilah tries to seduce Casey.
Mm-hmm. Again, manipulating. They're again trying to do that, and it never works. It never works. So it's like, why they keep trying to manipulate them?
It doesn't work with this group.
True.
I bet it worked with some of the other people at the school.
Oh yeah, they probably all were like, okay, whatever, and just went along with it.
And she does like I couldn't pinpoint down what she was doing, like what Jordana Brewster was like trying to like do it acting wise, but I thought it kind of had to. It reminded me of Mo in that Treehouse of Horror, so it has to be from something, because it reminded me of Mo in the Treehouse of Horror where they give the lobotomies, because he's telling Homer like, it's not so bad, Homer.
Right.
They take
put it in a
they
jar.
let you keep the piece of brain they cut out. So like that's got to be from something, because that's what this reminded me of, where she's like, I feel great and it's the best I've ever felt since my dad died. Like that's what it reminded me of.
Well, because I don't remember them doing it in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. They didn't do that unless they did it in the 50s version.
They do the speech about there's no pain and you'll feel better. Jeff Goldblum tells Donald Sutherland like that there's no pain. You'll like this is better.
I think that might be kind of what it is. Is just that like I feel great, like type of thing. Like you're gonna feel so good. Let us take you. You know,
it is another Body Snatchers reference for sure. While this is happening, Zeke gets to his car, opens the trunk, and realizes that there's nothing in the trunk. He can't find it, and that's where Miss Burke comes back, and now she's trying to seduce him.
Zeke.
And I can't tell if she thinks it's working, but he like
oh, I think she does, because she's like, oh yeah, what do you have for me, type of thing.
Because he immediately like runs in the car, which is another Simpsons-y moment, because he just like jumps into the car. And a thing that I love about all of the aliens is that their go-to move is to throw their head into just the class
they just go,
to get in.
Because
the football player does it on the bus, and then Miss Burke does it into the car.
Yep. They go head first into glass.
uh, which is great. And then Zeke starts the car and starts trying to like get rid of her while she's trying to get the she's at ear level, so
Right.
she's trying to get the parasite into
Exactly.
his ear. And at the last second, he puts the seatbelt on. He hits the front of a bus, which apparently is very flammable.
As you know, anytime a car crashes into itself or into another car, it explodes with
It explodes
fire.
in a fiery wreck. She flies through the windshield. There is a great spot where if you catch it, her body flies through the air, like on fire. So he grabs the rest of it, and then you get another homage of her tentacle
Yep.
head.
Yep. Trying
Which
to
I don't
find.
really know. I don't know how this works, but like there's tentacle
Well,
head.
I think it's the same thing as his fingers getting cut off and the tentacles come out. I
Yeah.
think they're all
They can
inside. They're
repair
like
themselves.
inside of the body, and they're trying
So
to
as long as
fuse
like
it
the
back
rest
together.
of the body is there, yeah.
Yep.
As long as they're not dried out.
They can put themselves back together because I mean they stabbed the hell out of the principal at the beginning, and so and she's not like full of holes, so
That's true. Which would have made it more interesting. But so so the body is us trying to grab this head now, which very Reanimator or Mars Attacks.
like
so
find
that
like
has
I'm
to be
over
from
here,
an old
my
B
body
movie again.
Yeah.
I do like Zeke's reaction, which is just fuck this, I'm
Yep,
out.
I
Like he doesn't
love
even
it.
bother.
Nope, he's like, nope, I'm out. We're running away from this one.
So while all of this stuff is happening, we go back to
The gymnasium.
the gym with
Mary Beth and Stokes.
Mary Beth and Stokes. And Mary Beth gives this speech about how maybe they all feel better being aliens.
Yeah, maybe they're
it's
right.
not that bad. And Stokes like starts to get a little suspicious, and then she gets walloped pretty good in the face with a giant tentacle.
Yep.
Which is also pretty great.
At the same time, Casey runs into the gymnasium.
Yes. And this is where Mary Beth reveals herself that she is the queen.
This crazy giant tentacle being.
She transforms into this giant CGI squid thing.
I guess is kind of alien-esque because the baby alien is a small parasitic thing, and then it turns into the gigantic alien. So maybe
the xenomorph thing.
So maybe that's kind of what it's going off of.
Yeah. I guess she's the only like true alien, so she's the only one that can turn into this.
And all of them are her little baby parasites.
Yeah, can turn into this thing. Stokes and Casey run into the giant high school pool, which I don't know how many high schools out there have big pools like this.
It reminded me of my college pool. They had it was an old building. And if you ever walked in there, it just immediately burned your face with the chlorine. So that's all I could think of when they ran into this room.
Now that brings up a good point, because this is a gross school. We've talked about that. This is a gross pool for sure. And it's a trope that there are these, pools in these types of movies. We'll get into all these different types of movies further down into the seasons, where for some reason all these high schools have pools. This one has to be chlorinated to hell. Wouldn't that
dry them out?
Bad for the
so maybe it's not then. Maybe it doesn't have like any chlorine in it.
Which would, I guess,
there's
kind of
no
fit
janitor.
Into the idea that this school, Donald Sutherland isn't doing a good job, and I'll save you kids. I remember how I've chlorinated the pool. Just dive right in. But
that is exactly what Mary Beth does. She jumps into the pool. She dives
right in, and of course that's her natural habitat.
Because it's water.
So she is super fast, grabs Stokely, pulls her in. Stokely takes a header onto the
You could feel the
side
face
of the pool
smashing the ground.
and drags her into the pool. So now Stokely has a concussion, I assume, and um, is fighting with the alien. Casey's able to get her out, and they run into the locker room,
Yes.
which they did. They did make sure to note that the locker room is next to this pool.
Right.
So then Mary Beth goes back into her human face
Form. Her whole
and her
body.
form. Her human. Oh, her whole body. All right.
Oh, yeah,
because
you
get
can
a little
see
bit
it.
Mary Beth butt at this point. uh, she's naked because she threw off all of her stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So now Zeke runs in. I don't know why Zeke knows to go to the maybe some time has passed, but Zeke knows to go to the locker room. Maybe he followed the trail of blood.
Yeah, I was
or
gonna say
something.
maybe there
I
was a
don't
trail of
know.
some sort.
But he ends up going to the locker room. This is where Stokes tries to be like,
I'm here.
and it turns out that
Well, no.
oh,
And then Mary
you're
Beth
right.
is around the corner.
Mary Beth's around the corner, and she's like, it's not.
She's
It's
an alien.
her.
Don't.
It's Stokely.
Yeah, it's
She's
her.
a freak. Yeah, it's got to be her. And this is where we get a line that I personally love. It's on the list of top lines ever.
Oh, it is.
And so Josh Hartnett, realizing something must be kind of wrong, goes, answer me something, Mary Beth. Why are you naked? But the way that I hear it from now on, because this is what we used to say a lot in at the high school cafeteria table, was, ask me something, Mary Beth. Why are you naked? Which is not how he says it.
He doesn't, but it has morphed into that, and that is how we quote it now.
And it is a dumb thing to say, but
it's such a great line.
Zeke, who is a genius, temporarily kind of being dumb, but also like trying to trick this alien into admitting that she's an alien.
Right.
Which she does.
Yep.
And now we've got Stokely turns out to be an alien.
Oh yeah, she grabs
Zeke.
Yep.
Casey grabs Zeke, and they start running.
And then Casey
Zeke
grabs Stokely and shoves her into a cage and locks it.
Oh yeah, shoves her into a cage and locks it. So now Stokely has been neutralized.
Right.
But then now we got Casey and Zeke.
And they're running around.
Zeke makes Casey sniff another thing of scat.
Which is understandable.
Like, everyone's turned into an alien. Like, I've been gone for 5 minutes and everyone's an alien.
Exactly. And then so like now they're running, they're like hiding from Mary Beth, and Mary Beth's just walking through the locker room and doing her monologue.
In like half human form.
No, she's in full form.
There's like, you can see shadows of the tentacles.
Oh, so maybe one of her arms are tentacles, but you can see her legs and you can see her butt.
I thought maybe
and
that was just a stylistic choice to like have like now the shadow is an alien.
Possibly.
I don't know.
But yeah, she just does her monologue and stuff, and like she eventually like smashes Zeke to the ground, so you know he's like knocked out.
Yeah, Zeke gets the shit kicked out of him. So now he's taken out. So we're down to just Casey. And poor Casey, so it's all down to Casey. Frodo needs to
put up or shut up.
Save us. Casey, let's see, where am I at?
He gets huddled into a corner.
Well, she tries to appeal to him one last time.
Right, she's doing her monologue.
She gives him the speech of like, because she gives Zeke the speech too of like, it was nice of you to be like nice to me, and
yeah,
I thought that you guys could live in my world.
Yeah, because she even says like her home planet dried up and she had to come somewhere, and so she saw this place, you know, and she was trying to fit in, type of thing. Why she went to like Midwest?
Ohio.
Why Ohio? Yeah. Dry ass Ohio, when you could have gone to like an ocean.
You got there's Lake Erie. I don't know where in Ohio this is, but you got a lake there by Cleveland.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why it wasn't. Maybe salt water is bad for her. Maybe it needs to be fresh water.
Maybe that's what it is. Let's go with that. Chlorinated pool.
I forgot to chlorinate the pool again. And so she tries to appeal to Casey one last time, and he says, I'd rather be afraid. Which I guess just it's that individuality. Like, I'd rather be the individual and not conform and be afraid than be
Well,
part of.
it's also a courageous thing because with courage, you're supposed to just like give in to your fear. You're allowing yourself to be afraid, but you're still doing something anyways.
So you think this is Casey's redemption moment?
Yes,
Okay.
because he kept hesitating before, so now he's saying, "I refuse to hesitate. I refuse to hesitate. I am going to be afraid, but I'm still not going to hesitate."
So he chases her back to the gym, and he decides to do the old Stan Smith and Company, and that's what this reminded me of. There's an episode of American Dad where the kids in high school are chasing Stan and his friends through the gym. Do you remember this one?
I think so.
And they go through they do like all this acrobatics to get through the bleachers.
Oh, yes.
And then they come out on the other side, and then everyone's just waiting for them to get to the other side, so then they just start chasing them again.
Right.
So Casey, quick thinkingly, decides to manipulate this alien into coming into the bleachers with him, and he presses the button to compress the bleachers, which I assume is still a thing. I assume bleachers still compress like this.
I don't know. That's what they did when we were there.
So he has to get through the bleachers, and he's just trying to outrun this alien. I guess the alien is just taking down the structure of the bleachers as it goes, because how is this thing getting through?
I don't know. I guess, or maybe it's just really like slinky and kind of can go through everything.
Like a slug almost.
Yeah.
So Casey gets to the side. He does a fantastic stunt double dive.
Yep.
To the outside of it. And sure enough, Mary Beth alien gets stuck, and it's a nice puppet alien at this point.
Right.
It's very puppety. This is where I think you get that Greg Nicotero look, that future Walking Dead look of this alien. And Casey takes the pens and stabs. This is where I think that this gets wrong. And this is where I think that the movie could have been a little bit better in the climax, where Casey stabs this alien with like 3 or 4 it's a handful.
It's like a handful, yeah. It's like all of the rest of them.
We've seen Furlong go down to 1 pen. We've seen Principal Drake go down with a couple. I don't know how much. I feel like the Queen, it should have taken a lot to take down the Queen, and maybe it was, but it feels like it should have been more than just some pens in the eye. But I guess so. The pens go in the eye. Casey says, "Guaranteed to jack you up."
Right.
Which is his bad action movie one-liner.
Man.
That Z had said at the beginning of the movie. And the alien shoots out stuff to get in. It goes in Casey's face, which is interesting, because I guess that's how it first happened.
Yeah, like it just sprays them out into his face.
But the alien dries up and dies before anything can happen. And Casey saves the day. And Casey gets a second movie one-liner when he goes, "You wouldn't have liked it here anyway."
Yeah.
And then there's this. Oh no, you're right. I should point out. So then Casey goes back and finds that Stokes is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she's herself again. And then you get one last
jump scare
with Zeke being just like, "Is it over?"
Slamming into the cage.
Yeah.
He's half dead because he was like smashed into the lockers earlier.
He was in a car accident.
Yep.
He was thrown over the lockers. He's had a rough fucking day.
Yep.
But he's the only one that didn't end up getting a parasite in there.
It's true.
So this epilogue, and let's talk about it, because there are thoughts on the internet about this epilogue. I have thoughts about this. So the epilogue takes place 1 month later.
Right.
Zeke is now on the football team. He's dating Miss Burke.
Yeah, I think there's at least some type of sexual tension between them. So maybe she's waiting for him to graduate, or they are doing it anyways.
He is at least 18. He's a super senior.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still teacher student.
Yes.
A little weird.
And then Stokes and Stan are dating. Stan is not on the football team.
Right. Because he's stuck by that. And Stokes is wearing a purple dress.
Yeah, very, very Breakfast Club.
She went away from being a goth
it looks
and
exactly
turned into
like Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Yeah, it
look.
did. Yeah. I feel
And
like there should have been a little bit more goth to it, but I guess she was trying to say, like, you know what, screw this. It was all just a front, I'm gonna be me type of thing.
well, I'll get to that in a minute. Because then we cut to, there's a news reports like, oh, there were a couple faculty members went missing, and the students said it was alien. I keep wanting to say zombies. The students said it was aliens. It's not aliens. Blah blah blah.
Right.
But then we cut to a bunch of magazines being thrown down onto something by in front of Casey,
Right.
and it's like he's the hero and all this stuff.
And like
And
an
it turns
alien
out,
there was one that was like a UFO magazine, and like,
it finishes with the school paper.
where she's
'Cause
calling
Delilah,
him a hero.
yeah, or Delilah Prophet, and she asked him how it feels to be a hero, and Elijah Wood, in pure Elijah Wood dork fashion,
Yep.
is like, oh, it feels, and then she kisses him. Here now, I can't remember from the rest of this movie, but I wrote down, and as a short person myself, who does not really care if my significant other my girlfriend would be taller than me or not.
Right.
I was like, is he standing on the bench? Because he is slightly taller than her. And Elijah Wood, this whole rest of this movie, was not taller.
Yeah,
than
I don't.
Jordana.
They did that on purpose. It's
Is
just
that
it's one of
just so
those
you can
movie
get-
magic things. Yeah,
Okay.
they needed to have him taller, which I think is stupid. They should have just had him be shorter. I think it would have made more sense.
And I will point these out, Rachel, because as a short person, I want to see the person like Peter ass Malark, short ass motherfucker,
Yep.
should be on his toes trying to kiss Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep.
As should Robert Downey Jr.
I was gonna say
should
yes.
not be as tall as the
Absolutely
fucking
not.
Thor in Captain America.
Absolutely not. He should be tiny next to them.
So let Casey Connor, let the hero of the faculty be shorter than Jordana Brewster in this.
Yes.
Which I think maybe they're the same height.
Probably.
Maybe if you go back, but I think he is a little
He
shorter.
he always looks like a little pipsqueak in this.
Yeah,
though.
he is Frodo.
I mean, he's
so
not a
that's
hobbit,
how-
but yeah.
So we fade out on the two of them walking out to go greet some more reporters because they just can't get enough of this story.
Right.
And Casey says, "Isn't it funny how everything's changed?" But as he's saying that, some other dork is getting rammed into the flagpole,
So it hasn't really changed.
and that's my thought here. So, an interpretation of this is, one is that they all just conformed into, high school. They've all taken a different role in high school. I like the idea that they didn't really save anything.
No.
Would they have been better off as aliens? Because
Sure.
they didn't really. Maybe they saved themselves.
So here's where I'm gonna parallel it with Mean Girls. The end of Mean Girls, where they're just sitting on like the grass and they're like, oh, we're all friends now, and then the new Mean Girls come out. It's the same. It's always going to be the same in high school. You always have those things happen, and it's just how life works. But they moved on from their positions, and the new people have taken them.
Which is kind of a nihilistic answer. It's kind of you didn't you saved the world, but did you save the world and did it really matter? Like you get like your high school's still shit. Like everyone's still angry. Like you have the angriest high school ever.
Yeah, they do.
But yeah, that's how it ends. It fades out. There's another cover song at some point in this.
And they go through each person.
Oh, there is as I'll call it out as a We Hate Movies coined phrase, victory lap.
Yep.
Where it goes through each person and in a weird order.
Oh man, yeah, it's an odd order. It's like in no particular order, literally.
I thought the same thing because the top build is Jordana Brewster.
Yeah.
And this was her first movie, by
Mm-hmm.
the way, too. So I thought that she would have been, if anything, I thought Josh Hartnett would have been first billed,
Yeah.
and then Elijah Wood.
Right.
But it being her is interesting because I thought it would have been an and introducing Jordana
Sure.
Brewster. But whatever. And yeah, so there's the victory lap, and that's the end. And
Well,
that
the weird
is
thing in the victory lap too is that the science teacher is alive, has a eye patch, and his finger is covered.
I feel like it just was a gag. Like
Well,
I think that was just a gag that
Well, it
Rod
must have been a
Rodriguez.
gag, but at the same time, I'm wondering if when the aquarium was broken, he was drying out on the ground and dying, and the aquarium water like touched him, and so he kind of like healed, but couldn't fully heal like his eye and his fingers. So when they killed Mary Beth, he just came back to life, type of thing. And
Yeah, without an eye and fingers.
right,
I guess it's possible because I guess the same thing would have happened to Principal Draco, which she would have had a bullet in her head. So she would
exactly,
have been dead anyway.
right. So
And that is the faculty. We did it. We have deep dived it. We have gone through meticulously, arduously, doubling the runtime of the movie
yep.
to make sure that we get every nook and cranny out of it. With that being said, Rachel, the time has come, and the question is, does the faculty have shelf life? Is it worthy of a place on your shelf?
So my vote is yes. Yes, it does get a place on my shelf. I will be ordering this to make sure I own it instead of having to stream it. But here's why. I think you can rewatch this movie. I think it is something that is rewatchable. I think it's fun to watch. I think it's kind of fun to introduce it to people, and we quote it all the time. So it's just one of those fun movies that is rewatchable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think it's a fun movie. I think it it can be rewatched. It's again, it's not a cinematic masterpiece. I won't even call it smart, even though it's probably smarter than a lot of these high school horror movies are trying to be. But it is a lot of fun, and the action in it is good. Some of the dialogue is crazily stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that it has a place on the shelf. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. If you haven't seen it and we spoiled the whole thing for you, I still think it's a
Oh,
fun watch.
you still need to see it. You still need to see it and hear it and enjoy it.
So yes, this will be, maybe we have to figure out how we're going to do this. Maybe we'll have a running list of what's on the what's been allowed onto the shelf, what's on the shelf. But I think that this is the first, our first episode. This is going up on the shelf. Is the faculty. It makes it has some shelf life to it.
Absolutely. And it is at this point, what, 22 years old?
Yeah, I
And
mean
and
it
we
is
still
very,
can watch it now and enjoy it.
yeah. I mean it is very 90s,
Because
like you said, but
you kind of still can relate to the high school student. Because like I said, I think that high school is always just that, just like how it always is. I don't think it will ever change.
I don't know if was ever this angry, but
Well, not this angry, but it's more relatable.
I don't think that we really had cliques in high school either. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we've done it. We've completed our first episode, or however you end up ordering this up. But that is the faculty. This. So thank you all for listening. We will be back on another day for another piece of culture to determine whether or not it should remain in the zeitgeist and has shelf life. This is Kevin.
And this is Rachel. Goodbye, everybody.